What's up, everybody? All right, I'm gonna do a quick test here to make sure that I'm not on mute. So the first 10 minutes of the show tonight are not just me pantomiming shit. So hang on a second. I'm gonna do a double check. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Let a couple people get in here. Sorry, I was a little bit late. Running a little bit behind. Trying to get some stuff together, get everything up to date. So I don't like doing streams. I do a lot of like, excuse me. Maybe I should be mute tonight. So I like to do streams during the weekend, like when I have the whole day to kind of prep and get everything in order and do things. I do a lot of there's a lot of prep and shit that goes into. I'm just like one of those super anal guys that's like, all right, let me find. It's like everything's got to be just right. I don't know, it's ridiculous, but I think everything should sound okay because I noticed. Okay. Yeah, I think it sounds all right so far. But if it sounds like shit here in a little bit, guys, let me know in the chat. Synth, Matt, Will, whoever's in the chat here so far. But hope everybody's doing well. Sorry I missed last weekend. I just didn't really, I don't know, didn't have motivation to to really do too much last weekend. A lot been going on lately. I figured tonight for this weekend stream would be a fun. I don't know about fun, but it'd be interesting to sit down and rewatch the 30th anniversary edition of Night of the Living Dead, which came out in 1999. I got filmed in 58, so it's technically the 30th anniversary or whatnot, but came out in 99. And it's probably the most. I mean, this covers a lot of ground, especially for Night of the Living Dead. But it may be the most like despised version of Night of the Living Dead that's out there. And people have pimped Night of the Living Dead out to death over the years. And I say people, I mean it's for everybody from Russo but I mean that's not just saying Russo's pimped it out to death. But Night of the Living Dead being kind of public domain has kind of everybody's kind of had a stab at it. Even most recently, something like Festival of the Living Dead, which is technically supposed to be the fucking a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, which nobody in their right mind would ever equate the two or even want to equate the two. But I mean, it's been pretty bad, and I don't know. That'd actually be a pretty fun, interesting. I don't know what you guys say in the chat, but it'd be an interesting poll to put out there. Is like, what is the worst like spinoff of Night of the Living Dead? Would it be the 30th anniversary edition? Would it be like Festival of the Living Dead, or maybe like Night of the Living Dead 3D, or the animated version of Night of the Living Dead? What was it? Night of the Animated Dead or something like that, which everybody just pretty much universally shit on when it came. I never saw it. I had no interest really. I mean, it was kind of interesting the first time I saw it in a store on Blu-ray. I was like, oh, what's this? I haven't heard of this. So I'll maybe check it out. Then I started hearing people and it's like, yeah, it's like really, the animation's really shitty and it's just not your way to see. So that'd be an interesting question to find out what you guys think is like the worst spin-off of Night of the Living Dead, or what's the worst rip-off of Night of the Living Dead. Because I'd even go back to something like the colorized version of Night of the Living Dead. I always thought that colorized version just looks like complete dog shit. Like it's like colorized, but it's like the most like dull, ugly color you've ever seen. It's like the complete opposite of the Wizard of Oz. It's like Dorothy opens the door, instead of this like bright, vibrant, colorful world, in the Night of the Living Dead colorization version, you're opening this door into this like dull, just ugly, fucking colorful world. It's just like, why even do that at that point? But I think that was at a time where they were kind of, colorizing a lot of old classic films and stuff. I think they did that. It was like late 80s, early 90s or something like that. So yeah, even that was pretty terrible. That would actually be something interesting I was thinking about not too long ago. If they tried to recolorize, I don't know if they have what the technology is now with AI and all that stuff now, but if they could like do a recolorization of Night of the Living Dead using AI, because I mean I've seen like some AI stuff where people take Dawn of the Dead or something and like clean it up to the point where you can just see like every little thing that there is to see. I wonder if they could do something like that with Night of the Living Dead, like do a different color, like colorized version of Night of the Living Dead, using AI or some form of like modern technology that I'm sure they could. I mean, I'm sure it can't be that hard. I don't know if that's something I'd really. I mean, I'd probably go out of my way to see it, but it's nothing that I'm like dying for. I think Night of the Living Dead works so well because it is in black and white. I think that was the appealing thing when it came out in the late 60s, was like everything was starting to turn to color, and then all of a sudden here's this horror film that's still in black and white, like grainy black and white. It looked like the news. That was the big selling point that I think that made it work for a lot of people. Um, so yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of the chat? Would that be something you guys would be interested in? Um, Possibly seeing sometime in the future, like an I don't know, colorized version of Night of the Living Dead, because it's got to look better than what they did, years and years ago. That shit was horrendous looking. Um, let's check who's all in the chat here. I've seen a couple people. Yeah, sorry, like I said, I was running a little bit late, but I'm glad you guys stuck around, hung out. Of course, the man himself, Mr. Synth Addict. What's going on, brother? I hope I'm sounding okay. I'm sure you'd let me know if I'm not, if I'm breaking in and out, because I noticed that last week too when I went back and listened to the replay on that. My audio was kind of breaking in and out at times, like it would kind of clear. But I took every possible precaution that I could think of to take tonight to make sure that shit like that doesn't happen. So hopefully it's coming in okay. Paul Brooks, what's up, man? Oh hell yeah! Are you a fan of Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary Edition? Because you may be the one ranger. And honestly, like last week, we were talking about my top 10 Romero physical media releases. And at one point in the stream, I don't even hardly remember. I guess I said something that, the first time I saw the 30th anniversary edition of Night of the Living Dead, I actually kind of liked it. And I got from a few people, I got some shit about that throughout the past couple of weeks. They were just like, really? Like, are you serious? I'll clarify as the stream goes on, as we're watching it. I'll clarify what I mean. I'm not saying that I like now looking back and it's not something that I go back and rewatch a lot. And when I do, it's very like cringeworthy. Not a fan of it really per se now, but when I first saw it, so I guess I'll just tell you how I first saw it. When I first saw it, I was young. I mean, we're talking probably 2001, 2002 when I first saw it. And I had no idea it even fucking existed. I didn't know it was a thing because I guess when it came out in '99, I wasn't really on top of the world of Romero, or I was still discovering. That was kind of around the same time I first saw Dawn of the Dead. So, so in like 2001, 2002, I saw Night of the Living Dead on IFC. Like you on the guide channel, you see Night of the Living Dead coming up at 8 o'clock on Saturday night or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, well I'm gonna put my fucking tape in, record that shit. I used to record so much shit on IFC back in the day. So it just said Night of the Living Dead. So I hit the record, and I think I was busy or went to bed or something like that. But I got up the next morning, watched it, and it was a completely different fucking version. I was like, what is this? Like, it's a new opening and new music, and but I was watching it, and as a young guy, I think I'd seen probably the original Night of the Living Dead maybe once, maybe twice at that point. So kind of, as far as I knew, it was just like, oh, here's some like long lost footage. I mean, I was like, 12, 13 years old or whatever I was at the time. So I wasn't like, too smartened up to everything and knowing what was going on. I was like, oh, it's like lost footage, or it's like a new cut version or whatever. And I didn't hate it because I went into it with just kind of the open mind of like, oh, I didn't think of it as like, oh, they went back and reshot some shit and just put all this random nonsense that didn't need to be added into it. And the music, I will say, and the one thing that still kind of resonates with me is I do like some of the music cues, and that's about it. I mean, the performances and the new edited, the newly shot stuff, those are as bad as you can get. The story, I mean, it's just unnecessary. There's no point. There's no reason for it. It's not good, guys. Don't come at me. I'm not saying it's good or anything, but it's not very good. But I will say some of the music cues in it, and I'll point it out as we're watching, and I do kind of like. And I will say this, and this may be controversial, we'll see, but I do think I like the music in this version more so than I like Paul McCullough's score for Night 90. Because I'm just not a big fan of that score for Night 90. I'm just not. It just sounds weird to my ears. Like, it just does not fit. Like there are so, like I said, there are certain pieces that fit from Night 90 that score. But like in general, like in terms of just as music, I probably like some of the stuff in this 30th anniversary edition more. But we'll get into it. I'm sure you guys are already throwing a bunch of bows and arrows and bullets at me. Just for saying that. So no, I didn't take a long nap, Sent. Wish I was, but I was actually running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to get everything in order and get everything together. Sean Scarred Godskowski, what's up, man? The thumbnail is pretty funny. Yeah, I thought that was. I don't know. I thought it'd be kind of funny. I love the priest character, the preacher or whatever. And that's the same guy that does the music. But I just think that character's so horrible and just so like the acting is so terrible. It's just such a I don't know. It's funny to me. I like unintentionally funny shit like performances and stuff in movies. If you couldn't tell, the fact that I was a big fan of Hell of the Living Dead and Zombie 90 and shit like that. But good to see you as always, man. Yeah, skip over here and it's got, and yeah, I'll bring this up. The link to the movie, if you guys have never seen the movie or you don't own a copy, which I don't blame you. If you want to watch along, there is a link. I did put up the movie on YouTube unlisted, but there is a link down in the description if you want to watch along. That'll take you to the movie. So there's that. If anybody's interested, you know you are. Matt Landrum, what's up, man? Good evening. Stopping in for a moment to say hello before bed. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. Well as well. Fuck. Hope you're doing well too. I don't know how would you say that. Hope you were doing well as well. I don't know. We'll go with that. But good to see you, man. I'm glad you stopped in. You stick around. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on this movie. I'd like to get your thoughts on the movie at some point. Yeah, the opening music. That's Moon Vampire. Is the name of the band. All one word. John Bulo, what's up, man? I'm here to say hi. Once the movie starts, I'm out. Genius thumbnail, though. Come on, John. You love the extra footage there. I was watching a little bit of it as I was, putting the movie up on YouTube, people to check out, and I was watching like the first 5 minutes, and I was just like, man, it's so bad, so bad. Okay, so I sound fine. Cool beans. Let's see who else we got. Bonnie Bailey, what's up? Good to see you as always. Hello, all. This should be fun. I don't know if fun's the word for it. I mean, I guess I can try to make it as fun as I can, but I mean, when you're watching Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary Edition, I don't know if fun is the correct word for it, but it'll be an experiment in lunacy, or I don't know what you'd call it. But I just thought it was. I think it's an important piece. As bad as it is, I do think it's an important piece in the story of Romero's career. And Romero had nothing to fucking do with all the extra footage and all that was shot. And I don't think I think the mayor posted something earlier, because I put up the behind the scenes featurette that was featured on the DVD, which I have here, which is the version that we're going to be watching. So everybody's on the same fucking page tonight. It's from this DVD, 30th anniversary edition of this DVD. God, it looks so shitty. And it's Anchor Bay. I mean, it's funny. Anchor Bay really didn't do too much with Night of the Living Dead, except for this 30th anniversary edition. But yeah, I put up the behind the scenes thing, and I think the mayor mentioned I wonder what George thought of this. And I never really heard George talk about this version too much. And I never really, heard George talk about his old movies too much, period, unless he was asked about them. And why would anybody ask about, 30th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead, when he had nothing to really do with it. But I think just out of respect, for John and Russ and those guys were his friends, and he just didn't want to come out and just blatantly, openly shit on it. But I think usually when George is silent about something, I can't recall ever hearing him mention it or talk about it or really have an opinion on it. So I think that's probably the nice way for him to kind of say, I got no interest. Let's see. Being a perfectionist is okay, but as you can tell by my live streams, your mileage may vary. Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. I mean, it's the technology. I mean, I guess there's you can spend the money to make things a little more seamless, but I'm doing what I can with what I got. Yeah, I'm doing what I can with what I got. That's all you can really do. Yeah, it's pretty terrible acting. Ed Trader Music and Entertainment, what's up, man? Good to see you again. Sorry I'm late. Hey, I was late, man, so it's all good. We're all late together on this. I don't think anybody was in a real rush to get in here for this one. which I was kind of interested. I was going to see, like, how many, what the turnout would look like in comparison to that Season of the Witch stream that didn't go too well. And yeah, there you go. It's actually not too bad. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to stick around when we start watching. I think John's going to cut the fuck out as soon as I hit play on this sucker. But we'll see. We'll see. Um, since the 3D remake of Night is really dopey and has terrible 3D animation for the first time, is really I've never seen it. I own it on DVD. I bought it last time I was in Pittsburgh. Actually, me and Will were at a half price books, not the one in Monroeville, but it was some other one somewhere else. I don't remember where, but um, I found it and they had the 3D glasses included and everything. And it was just a version of Night of the Living Dead I didn't own. And it's not a version of Night of the I'm not even going to put it that way. That sounds horrible. But it's something I'd never seen and never owned. And it was like $3 or something like that. So I was like, what the hell? I don't know if I'll ever watch it, to be honest with you, but who knows? Matt says the colorized version was one of the first versions of the original Night of the Living Dead that I saw and owned on VHS. It looks like dog shit, but I have a soft spot for it. Yeah, I do too, because I remember, like I said, it does look like shit. But yeah, that's one that when I at one point when I was younger, I rented Night, Dawn, and Day on VHS, and then did the thing where you stack two VCRs on top of each other and put one in and then record it with the other one. And the version of Night that I got was the colorized version because I wanted them all to be kind of in color to kind of I don't know what my thinking was, um, but yeah, I definitely. But just looking back on it, because I tried to watch it again here recently, because I have it on DVD, and it just has the tone of mustard or something. It's just like that, just bland, ugly color. Paul Brooks says, unfortunately, Festival of the Living Dead is probably the worst, just because of how utterly disconnected it is from Night of the Living Dead. Yeah, I mean, they try to connect it in some ways. With this being like, oh, that I'm Ben's granddaughter and shit. It's just like, okay. Um, but yeah, it may be the worst. I mean, at least shit like Children of the Living Dead or this or shit like that. At least there's some, like, I don't know, connection just with like Russo or Striner or something like that. But and it's so bad that it's kind of it's kind of fun to talk about and shit on in a way, I guess. Um, let's see. I lost my place here. I think I was here maybe. John said, I'm fairly confident there will never be an officially released colored Night from this point on. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I don't know. I would never say never for a movie like Night of the Living Dead. Um, or any movie, period. I mean, with you know, what studios and shit are doing now, which, I mean, Night's not owned by a studio or anything, thank God, um, but you never know. I mean, the technology could come around and somebody makes an offer. I don't know. I don't think a major studio would be like, "Hey, here's millions of dollars to let us colorize Night of the Living Dead and re-release it." But I don't know. Just a thought. I think it'd be interesting. The Ted Turner colorized Night was funny since the fire looked like a cartoon. Yeah, and the first Cemetery Zombie had greenish cast and ruined the whole surprise. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it looked terrible. Thank you, Sent. Sounded fine, looking sharp too. I appreciate that. Paul says, I do have a soft spot for the 30th. I like seeing some of the old gang back together, even if it's obviously not a bad idea or maybe not a good idea. Also, accidentally rented it way back in the. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories of people, like fans that have said, like, oh, I remember when this came out, and I was like, holy shit, a 30th anniversary edition from Anchor Bay. I got to pick this up, or, I got to check that. I got to get this. And you popped it in, had no idea what the hell it was, or, or who these actors were, or what was going on. But yeah, I do have a bit of, I'll say I have a bit of a soft spot for it because there's a few things in it that I still like, but whatever. 30th title card, very uninspired, boring font on blind. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the budget was. I don't know what they would have had budget wise for this, but yeah, I got you, Paul. Not a good idea. But yeah, I don't know what the budget. I don't have. They didn't have much. I mean, they were there to shoot 3 extra scenes or whatnot with very very little. But uh, John said, I don't mind the idea of Heinzman being executed and seeing the truck, but the acting was abysmal and it just kept getting worse. Any of the ghoul scenes were done well, but completely unnecessary. Yeah, especially in the middle part. There's a middle scene when Ben's, nailing up all the doors and stuff like that, nailing the windows up. And it just cuts to like this random scene of just zombies for like 3 or 4 minutes, just eating and shuffling down the road. I guess they felt like they had to do that at the time. Maybe the only way thinking I could come up with on that is like maybe they felt like, oh, it's too much time has passed since we've seen zombies in action. I don't know, so they just add that extra little scene there. But it is what it is. Yeah, great line. We believe in the fires of hell. Oh, that actor, musician, whatever the hell he is. It's the best part of the movie. I mean, it's the best part of all those scenes is just that guy. Anytime he's on the screen, it's just so bad that it's like, eesh. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah, and they just had to make the first zombie an executed child murderer. Yeah, I fucked with Larry about that because Larry was talking. He posted something on Facebook about the 30th anniversary edition. Called me out on it. Was like, oh yeah, Michael likes this. And I just gave him this like bullshit thing, and it's like, oh, I just added this backstory for the cemetery zombie, a very much needed backstory for the cemetery zombie that made us care. Maybe that was the idea that they were going for, but that's not the way it turned out, I guess. Ed Trader says that priest looked more like he was from the Church of Satan. Yeah, he really does. It was the Anton LaVey. He kind of looks like I've heard people say he's very Anton LaVey-ish. Hey, Will, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. I'm gonna hang out tomorrow and see what we can get into tomorrow. But always good to have you in here. I don't know if you're planning on watching along. I don't remember. Do you own this version of this movie? If not, like I said, the description is in, or the link to the movie is in the description below for anybody that wants to watch along. If you dare, if you have the balls to watch along, by God. Matt saying my thoughts on the 30th are simple. I avoid it. I think that's kind of the way I feel too. I mean, for the most part. I mean, the only reason I'm watching it tonight or even thought of doing something like this is because I mentioned it and it was kind of a topic of discussion throughout the past couple weeks from the last stream we did. I'm sure everyone behind it had good intentions, but it doesn't work and it turned out awful. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, I mean that's something like too. Like I would love to ask, from what he would remember of it, like somebody like John Russo or Russ Striner. Unfortunately, Bill Heinzman's not around anymore, and Carl Hardman's no longer around to really ask this. But like, did they ever consider, what was the thought process of like, hey, I'm guessing maybe it was another attempt at trying to recoup some of the money that they lost because of the copyright thing from all those years. I don't know. I'm guessing that's probably why they did this, but there had to be the thought, somebody would have said, the fans are going to shit on this. There might be a little bit of a backlash. It may tarnish the movie. I mean, it's just it's a stupid fucking idea, to be honest with you. It's so stupid. It's like, what other movie, like classic American film, would anybody ever do this with? Nobody would be like, oh, let's make Gone with the Wind, but let's shoot some new shit for it, 30 years later and re-release it and just, I don't know. And I think that's why it pisses so many people off. I mean, just the fact, yeah, it is bad. I mean, it's shitty, but it's not really any worse than most of, most of the movies and shit that John Russo and Bill Heinzman were doing. And at that time, we were talking, Santa Claus and the Majorettes and shit like that. It's not any worse than that. But I mean, it's the fact that you're taking a classic horror film, a classic American film like Night of the Living Dead, and just adding shit on top of it. That's just not necessary. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again. Thank God for any movie. I hope not. I mean, who knows? Maybe Disney one day. I actually could see this, like Disney at some point being like, "Oh, this movie's too offensive, so let's reshoot some shit and cut that other shit out and make it more wholesome." I could definitely see that, but yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, yeah, I don't really watch it. I don't think about it too much. But it is something I thought would be kind of fun and interesting to go back and kind of take another look at, just to see what the hell. Since Russo was so uninspired in that behind scenes feature, I noticed that too. At that one spot where he's looking into the camera and he's just like, Yeah, well, oh, what the hell? Good enough. It's just like, yeah, okay, that works, whatever. Um, which I mean, how inspired could you be to shoot something like this? Is what I would love to ask. John says, I want to say I read somewhere where George commented on the 30th anniversary and very diplomatically, yeah, said he didn't have any interest in revisiting it. Yeah, yeah, and George, that was the thing too. When it came to guys like Rubenstein, Russo, Striner, anybody that helped George and worked with George out there, George never. I can't remember one instance of George just shitting on something that those guys did or decisions that they made or the career moves or whatever. But that that was George, and you never really hear anybody really say anything bad about George. The only person I've ever heard, I guess there's probably maybe two people that I've heard openly kind of talk shit about George, and it was David Ball, one of the producers on Day of the Dead, who wasn't really one of George's guys. David Ball was more of a Salah Hassanine guy that worked with the UDF. Um, UDF, that's what it's called, right? United Film Distribution Company, UDFC, whatever. But he was kind of one of their guys, and they sent David Ball to the set, I think on Creep Show, if I'm not mistaken, when he first started. But later on, you read in the Day of the Dead, the Making a Day of the Dead book, where David Ball is kind of talking about like, oh yeah, George didn't know what the hell he was doing, and he just wasn't prepared to work professionally. Like I know he's used to doing his little movies in Pittsburgh, but when you're working with this budget, you're working with studios, like it's a different ball game type of thing. Which is a criticism, fair or not. I mean, it depends on your opinion. But it's kind of one of the only like criticisms I've ever heard anybody really give. Um, of George that ever worked with him. Really, everybody else pretty much on there. Maybe if you ask Timothy Hutton or somebody like that kind of butted heads with George on the set, maybe. But anyway, I don't know why we got off on that, but yeah, the George being very diplomatic. You're right. Uh, do you have this? Do you not know me? Well, I'm just asking because I mean I do know. I wouldn't blame you at all if you were just like I have no interest in owning this or looking at it. Like fuck it, I just pretend it doesn't exist because I guarantee you there are people out there like that. And honestly, I wouldn't own it unless I had found it. Like I haven't really gone out of my way to buy it until I found it. I think I found it at what the fuck is that store called? It's one in Nashville. McKay's. I found it at McKay's for like $4, and I was like, I don't own it. I'll buy it. And I don't remember really watching it for the longest time after I got it. Got it on VHS since then. Hope you have it on VHS. Of course, you have it on VHS. I do too, actually. That's right. And the reason I got this on VHS is because my parents found it and they were like, "Oh, do you have this version of My Living Dead?" And I was like, "No, I don't. Thank you." I'm gonna go shoot a dog downstairs in a minute. Hang on. Not really. I'm not. I'm for harming animals. Yeah, that's the thing. We need a special intro version for Citizen Kane. You'd never see that. I mean, it's just insane. Like, but for some reason, it's when it comes to Night of the Living Dead and the fact that I guess it's in public domain and the copyright issue and everything, people have just felt the free to just do whatever they want with it over the years. Which luckily that's been getting taken care of and cleaned up a lot here lately. So, um, okay, I had to tell the dog to shut the fuck up for a second. Um, that's my B plan, Steve, for you Deadbit fans out there. What was I talking about? That little bitch, I'm gonna kill her. Fuck, I lost my place. Hang on. Distracted. Okay. Ara Pajari, what's up? Good to see you. It's a new name. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I try to pronounce you guys' names as best as I can. But glad to see you in here. The add-ons were pointless. Showing a glimpse of the wider world might have meant something more. Yeah, but I mean that would have been, that would have cost more too. And that, like I said, they were probably working, if I were to guess, with a budget of maybe $5,000, maybe 10,000 at the most. I would think. I don't know, just guessing. Um, but even then, I mean, it's just like you watch the stuff shot. in '98 with the $10,000 or whatever it was, and you compare it to what they shot 30 years prior with pretty much about the same budget in terms of, if you're looking at just like time of the shoot and all that. I mean, it's night and day. It's just a completely different thing. It's not David Ball from 6 Feet Under. I hope. I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. Um, I don't know. I've never followed David Ball's career too much outside of his work with George. John says, "Don't forget, Paul McCullough wasn't too kind to George and like." That's right. Yeah, I remember seeing there was an article or something in in the early '70s. I want to say where McCullough was kind of taking some shots at George and Leighton Image for sure. Yeah, I do remember that. So yeah, so fuck his score for Night 90, but I've actually been pretty interested in Paul McCullough. Trying to find out more about him, and I don't know, he's just one of those names that was just kind of a important piece of the puzzle back in the day for Leighton Image that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot. But I mean, he wrote the original screenplay for The Crazies, like that's kind of his big thing, and then of course did the score for Night 90 and worked with Russo and the guys on all kinds of stuff like Midnight and Booby Hatch, I believe. So I mean, he's been there for a lot. I mean, he's done a whole lot. But he kind of came off as a, I guess I should finish it. Came off as a better than them goof. And once I found out what he looked like, I laughed how goofy he looked. Yeah, that's funny. I think you were posting something on Facebook about that. It was a picture of the Leighton Image guys shooting something, and Paul McCullough was in there. I had a behind the scenes photo from There's Always Vanilla, and Paul McCullough's in that photo too. It's from the scene where Judy is in the. It's not a hospital. I don't know what she's visiting her mom. I guess it's an apartment or whatever. Maybe it is a hospital. I can't remember. But it's behind the scenes photo of that when they were shooting that, and you can see Paul McCullough, but you just see the back of his head. He's doing something. I didn't really know what he looked like until I saw that photo. Aro says the original was low budget and was professional with the generous dose of genius. That's true. The add-ons look juvenile, like it was written, produced, and acted by high school kids. Yeah, I mean. It's like Sin says. I mean, you watch those behind the scenes stuff. I mean, you can see how uninspired Russo was to do it, and it kind of shows. And like I said, I guarantee you, it was just an idea and another attempt to try to recoup some money that they lost. From all those years of Night being in public domain and all that shit. It's true. Let's see, Albert, don't eat your dog like you do in Springfield. No, I'm not gonna eat her. I'm just gonna throw her out the fucking window. Matt's calling PETA. Hey, I wish I had well-behaved dogs like you. Fulci was just chilling on that round table, just chilling behind you that whole thing. Didn't make a peep. Didn't make a peep. This bitch is downstairs just barking her head off, and she's just one of those dogs that just barks at everything. She's just insane. Like if somebody's walking down the road 5 blocks away, she's like, "Oh my God, they're coming for me. They're coming for me." Try to catch up here. I got a couple of things to get to. I got a package to open here from buddy Paul. I wanted to open up here and show off here on the stream tonight. John says Paul alluded that Hessel liked the script and Romero ruined it, but Lee wanted Romero to enhance it with action. Paul says they gave the main woman role to Hessel's girlfriend, which is absolutely not true. That's interesting. I have to find that article and read it because I've never read it, but I do remember. I think it was Larry posted something, but he found that magazine and posted something about it on Facebook maybe a couple of years ago. But I'd love to read that. And I'll tell you, Paul McCullough is actually the shop owner and Jack's wife. It's miscredited to Hal Pryor. Oh, really? That's Paul McCullough for real. The fucking goofy looking fuck. That's hilarious. I had no idea. I did not know that. Wow. Look at Paul coming in here, or John coming in here, dropping some fucking science on us. That's what we love you for, John. Holy Parish of Doom. What's up, man? That sounds like a fucking Batman like TV show. Holy Parish of Doom, Batman. Was laid up all August between 2 kidney stone surgeries, so watched a lot of YouTube and found my way here. As a longtime Romero fan, it's been fun. Just stop by to say, hey, well, hey, man, I really appreciate that. I'm glad you found us. I like to do, I try to do, I missed last weekend, like I said, but I try to do a live stream, once a week. Just kind of with the topic or watch along like we're doing tonight or having people on, just kind of hanging out talking Romero because that's the whole reason I started doing this. Um, everybody guys hanging out in the chat. We just kick back, chill, and talk about shit we don't really get to talk about too much in our normal lives, our shoot lives, as they say. But yeah, definitely appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Matt saying, "Whoa, that's a cool fucking name." Yeah, that is. Like I said, I figured Matt might appreciate that name. Holy Parish of Doom. Good shit. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, they'll do that sometimes. I don't know why YouTube does that. Well, I don't remember. I guess the eating dogs comment or something. Who knows? Doom Metal, your Doom Metal channel. Okay, yeah. Holy Parish of Doom. Check it out. If you're into Doom Metal, which I believe I believe I like a little some doom metal here and there. There's so many different genres and shit of metal and stuff now. It's crazy. Okay, thing about caught up here. Let me see. John says, "Yeah, I got more current photos of Paul from a friend of Kramer Riblets." Sons, and I noticed that was him and Jack's wife, and they confirmed it when they said that's awesome. So there you go. There's some breaking news. I had no idea that was the shop owner and fucking in Season of the Witch. That's pretty awesome. I had no idea. Since then, easier to find your channel from the movie titles than Alpha. Yeah, I know. I still got to get bigger than the car company. What can I say? All right. Well. So I'm going to open this package here. Got a package in the mail from our good buddy, Paul Farvour. I don't know, it was probably about a week ago, honestly, maybe a little bit less. But sent this over. Wanted to open it here on the channel, kind of show you what we got here and promote Paul a little bit. You can check out Paul. He's got a YouTube channel. I think it's Paul Synth / Drums is the name of it. I think his tag, if I remember correctly, is at PFM Dude. I don't remember if there's numbers or anything behind it. But if you look up Paul Farvour, you'll find it. So yeah, let's open this package. Let's see what we got. Let's see what Paul has sent us here. All right, so we got a big bag of goodies here. All right, so Paul was in a band a few years back, and they did, I guess, mostly horror covers, like from horror scores and stuff. And the name of the band, Savini Effect. Great name. Come on, everybody knows that. Sent me some stickers here for the Savini Effect. God, I got 6 stickers here. I can go fucking crazy. I give a couple of these to my daughter and let her. She fucking loves putting stickers everywhere. I'll let her decorate downstairs. Album, Savini Effect. The horror. I don't know if you can see it, the reflection there. The horror of it all. He sent me the track listing on Facebook too. There's some shit from some covers from I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 covers maybe from Nightmare City. I was like, dude, Nightmare City, I'm fucking in. So so I'm definitely I've been wanting I've waited to fucking open all this shit here on the stream, but I've been really looking forward to getting the CD and finally popping it in. Maybe I'll do like I did with Eugene Clark's album. I'll do a live track by track review or something like that. But yeah, very, very cool. The album Savini Effect. I think he said they don't really play too much anymore, but they got all this stuff made, and he's got a bunch of it, and he was just. And of course, the Savini Effect T-shirt. You guys seen that? That's pretty awesome. I like that that design there. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So yeah, stickers, CDs, T-shirt, Savini Effect. I don't know if this music. I think he said. So I asked him. I was like, is there anywhere to people want to buy any of this or listen to it? I think he said that you may be able to find them on SoundCloud, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess go to SoundCloud, look up Savini Effect. You can check out some of their work. Is that a kind of looks like the reflection? You can't see shit, but it kind of looks like Jason Voorhees from Friday 2 on the cover there, but it's pretty damn good artwork. It's that's not bad at all. Really good packaging. As somebody who has made albums and shit before and knows how easy it is for an independently DIY produced album and artwork to look like dog shit. I will say that this is pretty damn cool. I'm actually gonna go ahead and open it up, pull the book out, and just pull it out and see what it consists of here. Okay, so here's a track listing: Serpent in the City, The Contaminated. That's one from Nightmare City, Zombie Island, Village of the Dead, Mummies Awaken. Oh, we got pictures in here. Hang on. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see it. There's our boy right there, Paul Farvour. There's Paul. Drums and synth. Very, very cool, man. Paul, if you're watching, or if you are watching a replay, thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate it. I'll definitely be listening to this after the stream tonight. So I go down in my car because I have a car that still has a CD player. Believe it or not, isn't that fun? Isn't that old school? Old school, as they say. Let's see. Imagine Savini Effect got one of those care packages too. Yeah, I think he was sending them out to a couple people there. There you go. Paul Synth / drums or PFM Dude. There you go. At PFM Dude on YouTube. Check him out. He does a lot of drum covers. Especially if you're a Dawn fan, he does all kinds of different Dawn drum covers, not just Goblin stuff, but a lot of the library music too. So definitely check him out. Check him out for sure. And we've done a few streams together. We did a Collecting the Dead stream with Paul. We had Paul on, I think, talking about the soundtracks and scores. Romero. Really cool dude. Really cool dude. Really like Paul a lot. I really appreciate it. That's super, super cool. Sean saying awesome. I'll check it out. Hard to find people who know Paul. Okay, so you're talking to Holy Parish of Doom here. Holy Parish of Doom. I love that fucking name. I love saying it. Let's see here. Since the Savini Con effect is where he acts dismissive. He's better in the hallways than at the tables. Yeah, the Savini Con effect. That's going to be their reunion tour. The name of their reunion tour. There you go. There's a link since throwing the Savini Effect stuff there. SoundCloud.com/Savini Effect. So definitely give it a big check out. Rob Lucas, what's up, man? Hey, Big Daddy, what's up, man? Good to see you in here as always. No, Big Daddy's #1 fan here, Mr. Rob Lucas, for sure. Anybody's keeping that love flame high and keeping it burning, it's Rob. Good to see you in here as always, man. So what do you guys think? Are we ready to get the movie started? We're already about 45 minutes into the stream tonight. So do you want to go ahead, just like a Band-Aid, rip it off and just get it started? Like I said, if you guys are interested in watching along, if you haven't seen the movie, I know some people have just avoided it. It's really not something that's really gotten a lot of publicity and talk over of this period of time since it's been out. But so I don't know. You guys want to watch that? Or I got some other shit here I can show off. I got some recently picked up some new Blu-rays and some new release, like what was that? A couple of 4Ks here, I think. But yeah, we'll talk about some of this stuff. I'm going to prolong the torture of watching this. But yeah, I've picked up a few of these since the last stream that I did. A couple of these I've never seen before. I just thought they looked interesting, wanted to pick them up and possibly watch them. Some of these are some of my favorite movies that I've been looking for quite a while. But the first one that I got was an Arrow video release, a Blu-ray, the El Duce tapes. I don't know if you guys are familiar with El Duce. The only reason I'm familiar with El Duce is he was featured in that Kurt and Courtney documentary from the I guess it's probably been the mid-90s, actually, because it was after Kurt's suicide. But they actually interview him, and he actually claims in the documentary that, he's that Courtney approached him to hire him to kill Kurt at one point, and he wouldn't do it. It's a weird fucking guy. I have no idea what this is or what it's about, but I noticed El Duce, and I was like, oh, I know that dude from the Kurt and Courtney documentary, so I'll get it and watch it. I haven't watched it yet. I don't know if it's any good. I don't know if you guys have seen this or know anything about it, but yeah, I got that because I thought it might be interesting to check out. And I like off the wall, weird fucking characters like that as it is. Another one I got is one I've been looking for a long time, and I think it's kind of hard to find. I don't know if it's out of print, or just one of those movies that you just don't see around a whole lot. But it's Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. I'm a huge Kubrick fan, and honestly, I could make the argument that most of his movies, I could say, are probably my favorite. Like A Clockwork Orange, I love A Clockwork Orange. That's one of my all-time favorite movies, hands down. The Shining is one of my all-time favorite movies, hands down. Full Metal Jacket is probably the first Kubrick movie I remember seeing as a kid, and just I love that movie. Well, I know people are like, oh yeah, once they get, once it gets to the war part, once they're out of the boot camp, it kind of takes the nosedive. I used to think that when I was younger, because I thought the boot camp stuff was funny and more interesting. But when I got older and was watching it, I could really appreciate a lot of like what Kubrick was going for in the second half of that movie. But I swear to God, the more I watch Eyes Wide Shut, the more I watch this movie, and I've watched this movie so much. This is like one of the last like Kubrick titles that I really sought out and to watch, because I was another one of those that everybody growing up, everybody was like, "Oh, what a piece of shit! Like it's a horrible movie. Don't watch it. Like it bombed at the box. Like it just there's no point. Don't even bother watching it." All of Kubrick's other stuff is great, but Eyes Wide Shut, what awful. So when I finally did watch it, I fucking fell in love with it. I don't know why. It's so weird. It's long. It's drawn out. It's quiet. It's moody as shit. But I just love the performances, the dialogue. I love the content of the movie, like what Kubrick was going for. I mean, there's all kinds of theories and debates and stuff about like what this movie is actually about and like what Kubrick was saying. And there's all kinds of conspiracy theories and stuff about this movie. But I mean, I wouldn't say like a remake, but it's based off of the Trom Nouvelle, I think is what it was called. But I don't know too much about that, but it's based off of that. But the more I watch it, the more I think this may be my favorite Kubrick film. And I watch it every year for Christmas. Like around Christmas time, it's just something about it. I don't know, just screams Christmas to me, because it takes place during Christmas and there's all kinds of Christmas lights and Christmas trees and all this other shit, but it has nothing really to do with Christmas. But it's just one of those movies that puts me in the Christmas spirit. I don't know why. But yeah, glad to finally find this on Blu-ray. Didn't own it beforehand. And this is another one that was Kubrick's final film. This is another great director, one of my all-time favorite directors. This was his final film as well, or not final film, but his most recent film. But that's Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is one that grows on me every time I watch it. It's one of those movies that every time I watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I like it more and more and more. And I watched it again here recently, and I just loved every fucking second of it. And the more I watch it, the more I'm debating in my head, like, is this my favorite Tarantino film? Because he just does such a great job of building that world, this late 60s Hollywood, and just everything that's going on in that movie is it's to me, it's just a borderline perfect film in many, many ways. The characters, the performances, the dialogue, just the art direction. I mean, it's damn near flawless. And this was like the only Tarantino film that I didn't own on Blu-ray, and so I found this, picked it up. Huge fan of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is a documentary I've only seen once, but I'm very familiar with the story. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story or the main character of this story, but it's a great documentary. It came out in the early 2000s. It's The Devil and Daniel Johnston. It's about a guy who's he's severely autistic or something. I mean, he's not adjusted to the real world kind of guy, but he makes this incredible inspirational music, and he released all these tapes and stuff back in the 80s and early 90s, and a lot of it inspired so many of the bands that got big around the time, like Nirvana. I know Kurt Cobain was a huge fan of Daniel Johnston. Um, and I'd never really listened to him or really heard too much about him uh, until, and I didn't see this documentary until years after the fact. But the way I discovered Daniel Johnston, he's performing on the Henry Rollins show. If you guys are familiar with Henry Rollins, he was the lead singer of Black Flag. He was in, he had his own band at one time, the Rollins Band. Um, and he goes on tour. He does like speaking, like spoken word tours. He like live performances and stuff. He's one of my all time favorite performers, or I don't know what you'd call him, performer, I guess. But he had this show on IFC back in the day called the Henry Rollins Show, and it was the greatest fucking show ever. Like it was the best. It was the best show for me. Like it may be my favorite show of all time, but you couldn't beat it. It was a 30-minute show that was like once a week. I was on Friday nights, and it was like must-watch TV for me every weekend on IFC, Friday nights. It was one of those shows like 30 minutes. It would have a guest and then a musical act, and it would always be something like our guest tonight is Werner Herzog, and a special musical performance from Slayer. And you're just like, where else on TV are you going to see a show with Werner Herzog and Slayer in the same? And that's where I discovered so many bands and musicians and stuff at the time that he was just having these guys on, like Dead Boy and the Elephant Man. I know Matt's a big Dax Riggs fan. That's where I first discovered Dax Riggs, was I saw Dead Boy and the Elephant Man on fucking Henry Rollins. But he had Daniel Johnston come on and perform as the musical guest, on one of the episodes. And I remember watching it, I was just like, this is the weirdest shit. Like, it's music that, like, aesthetically, like, you kind of listen to and you're like, this is not very good, but at the same time it gets stuck in your head. And if you listen to the lyrics, you're like, wow, that's kind of genius in a way. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but this is a great documentary. I'm gonna have to rewatch it again. Like I said, I've only seen it once. Plan on rewatching it again here soon. But it's just a great documentary. So, super, super interesting. Just about this genius, musician who just cannot, I don't know, it's just not part of this world, basically. This is a classic. Had to get this one. I didn't own on Blu-ray. And Deliverance. I mean, being a boy growing up and living in Kentucky, it feels like home when I watch Deliverance. Not really, but yeah, I had to get Deliverance. I didn't own it, and it's an all-time great movie. A lot of fun, I guess is what you'd say. But I mean, what am I going to say about fucking Deliverance that nobody's already said before 1,000 times? A few here that I've actually never seen, but I wanted to pick up because I need to see it. The first one's a couple of Sergio Leone's. Once Upon a Time in the West. I got this. Have never seen it. It's one of the best, supposedly one of the best westerns of all time. One of the best spaghetti westerns ever made. And it's also Dario Argento's first credit. He was a writer. He was one of the writers on this film. And this was pre, Argento being Argento. I mean, I think he was still transitioning from a film critic at the time. So his first writing credit on this. So I got Once Upon a Time in the West. Looking forward to watching that. And another Sergio Leone film that I've actually never heard too much about, but it looks badass, and had to get it. It's a Fistful of Dynamite, and in parentheses there, Duck You Sucker, starring Rod Steiger and James Coburn. It looks like it's weird because it looks like a western, but at the same time there's like motorcycles, and like I said, I've never seen it. Looking forward to checking it out and seeing what it's all about here. Oh, it's got the reversible artwork too. I'm definitely going to reverse this artwork. I'm one of those guys. I look and I'm like, oh, the reversible artwork. I'm going to quickly switch it around to the original artwork because that's where it's at. Not a big fan of this movie, but it was like $2, and it'll help complete my Sam Raimi collection. But it's one of like Sam Raimi's lesser talked about movies, really. It's The Quick and the Dead, with Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, Russell Crowe, Leonardo DiCaprio. I've seen it before, for sure. I don't remember too much about it, but yeah, it was Sam Raimi. It's a Sam Raimi movie I didn't own, so I figure I'd get it. I'll probably rewatch it again here soon. It's a hell of a cast. It's a great cast. It's kind of funny that you kind of forget that Sam Raimi's worked with Leonardo DiCaprio before. I didn't remember that. And then the big one here, this is the one that I found that I was blown away when I found it. Picked it up really quick. and watched it. It was the first time I've actually seen the director's cut version of this movie, but it's Ari Aster's masterpiece, Midsommar director's cut from A24. It's just big. It's got like a big ass book included with it. It's the 4K of the director's cut. Watched it recently. It was the second time I've seen this movie. The first time I saw the movie, it was just still to me, kind of, in my opinion, my favorite horror film that I've seen in the past decade easily. But it comes with this book. It's an actual book. It's got the disc. And then you start flipping some pages. It's got a write-up in here from Martin Scorsese, where he's putting the film over and putting Ari Aster over. But the real interesting aspect of this book is the artwork that is included with it. Some fun stuff here for the kids. And it was funny when I bought it. The guy checking me out is at Mega Replay. It was used, and you pull it out, and you're supposed to find like a disc number or something in it. And the disc number was actually on this envelope, but he actually opens up the book looking for the disc number. And let me find the page here real quick. And I guess he didn't have any fucking clue what this was. But I'm just sitting there waiting. I don't know if I can show this on YouTube or not, but I'm going to try. If I get booted, I apologize. But so he opens it up looking for this disc number, and he pulls it up to this page here. You guys can see what that is. And he's just looking at it. He's like, and he looks over at me, and I'm just looking. I just like, it's a great movie. And he's just like, he just starts giggling. He's like, okay. I guess he didn't know what the movie was or never seen it. And I guess that's a pretty interesting way to introduce him to it. He probably went home and checked it out immediately afterwards just to be like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, I love Midsommar or Midsummer. I don't know how you pronounce it. I've heard it both ways. Some people say Midsommar. Midsummer, I say Midsommar because it sounds snooty. But like I said, it's probably my favorite horror film of the past decade, and I'm a huge Ari Aster fan. And that movie, first time I saw that movie, I literally almost had a panic attack while I was watching it. Like I was just, there's like, especially the opening scene, of course, but then like the scene where they're driving into the commune or whatever, and it's all upside down. So the camera angle, you're looking and the road is above you, but it's like from a car's angle. So you're driving down the road, but the road is above you. And then the camera turns right side up. Like that guy, I'm not a guy that gets motion sickness or anything, but that fucked me up when I first saw that. I was just like, it made me dizzy. Like it gave me motion sickness or something first time I saw it. But it's a brilliant, brilliant film. But try to catch up on some comments here, and then we'll get the movie started. I bullshitted enough. I've put it off long enough. Let me see where I can fucking find. Goddamn, a lot of comments here. Press play. Paul Burke saying, okay, yeah, sorry, buddy. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I promise. Bonnie said, I've never seen it, so curious. I know it's bad. Yeah. So I'm gonna roll through these real quick, and I'll get the movie started. El Duce from the Mentors. Yeah, I think he was in a band, wasn't he? I remember that from the Kurt and Courtney documentary. They showed him, I don't know, singing or whatever you want to call it. Yes, Rob, definitely for sure. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for sure, guys. I really, really appreciate it if you did. Helps the algorithms and helps cool ass motherfuckers like Holy Parish of Doom here find us. So for sure, definitely appreciate that, Rob. Since in Real Torture was putting that priest from Night 30th on a loop. Yeah, I might do that. If you guys don't pipe down, by God. See, Sean, before we start, any thoughts on the synthwave horror version of Night of the Living Dead? Synthwave horror version. I don't know if I've seen that or not. Is it called something specific that I'm not thinking of? But yeah, I don't know if I've seen that or not. Holy Parish of Doom saying an eerie flick, eyes wide shut. Yeah, it is very eerie. It's a weird, uncomfortable movie to watch, but it's so relaxing to me. I don't know. There's something just so relaxing about it. And the way that the characters talk in that movie, where everything is so slow, it's just like, I need you to understand. Just shit like that. And it's just like you're hanging on every word type of thing. I don't know. Sean Scarred God Sikowski says, I love Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, I think it's yeah. Since then, here I grew to love Eyes Wide Shut. Took a while. Room 237 has some funny comments about it instead of just the Shining content. Yeah, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories and stuff about Eyes Wide Shut, which some I kind of buy into a little bit, some I don't. But yeah, it's one of those movies, like I said, people just didn't like or get when it came out. But I think over the years, people have given it another shot and kind of rediscovered it. Rob saying, just watched all Savini's Letterman appearances compilation. It was hilarious. Um, he burnt Letterman. Yeah, I remember that. And Dave has always been a dickhead. Yeah. It's crazy to think that Savini was kind of a pop culture fixture back in the 80s. I guess, with the slasher craze and everything. I mean, those were hugely popular movies at the time. He was a household name. Multiple appearances on Letterman and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, for sure. What it says about the nature of desire and relationships. Yeah, I mean that was the main thing that like I really held on to when I first saw that movie for sure. Um, uh, I love the last scene, the last shot of the movie. It's like, well, there's one thing very important left that we must do. And Tom Cruise is like, what's that? Nicole Kidman's fuck. And that's the end of the movie. And it's just like, I guarantee I could see it now, like sitting in a theater at the time when that movie came out, and she says that, and it cuts to credits. I guarantee you, everybody in that fucking theater is just like pissed off, like, what the fuck did I just sit through and watch? I could definitely see that. Since the alternate Hollywood timeline is great, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about that movie. It's like, what if? It's like the big what if, and it's like Quentin's fantasy of like these old school Hollywood types, like DiCaprio's character in that, kind of getting the best of the hippie culture and stuff that kind of killed the '60s, with the Manson family murders and shit like that. It's great stuff. Sean says, love Daniel Johnston. Yeah, for sure. Matt saying Once Upon a Time is one of my favorite films of the last several years. Fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it may be my favorite that I've seen. It's definitely in my top 10. It's got to be because it's one because like a lot of new movies, like older movies, I can watch over and over again. I don't know why. I can rewatch them easily. Newer movies, it's like even stuff that I really like, I'll watch it once and I'm like, I got it, and maybe I'll watch it again a few years down the road or something like that. But ever since that movie came out, in what, 2000, was it 2019? Was how long? I think it was like 2019. It was like right before the pandemic, I remember. But I've seen that movie multiple times since then. It's just one that I can't get enough of. Every time I watch it, I'm just like, this is great. Like I just love every scene. It's just it's a borderline perfect movie for real. Let's see, Holy Parachute Doom enjoyed that documentary. I guess the Daniel Johnston doc for sure. Paul Brooks and I have a friend who plays one of the Manson girls. Oh, really? Yeah, I know some of the Kevin Smith's daughter plays one of the Manson girls. Oh, Harley Quinn Smith. She's in there. There are a couple of recognizable people in that group for sure. Sean, excellent documentary. Matching the Daniel Johnston flick is great too. Rest in peace. Yeah. I saw he passed away not too long ago. I love the story of him talking about, or I guess it was his father talking about, because his dad was a pilot, where he freaks out, and it was him and his dad in the airplane, and he freaks out and tries to grab the wheel or whatever from his dad and crash the airplane. It's just like, Jesus Christ. There's some crazy shit in that documentary for sure. Since then, you should watch some YouTube videos by Ronald Jinke. He's a very good musician, clearly on the spectrum. Hey, look, I think most musicians are on the spectrum, to be honest with you. And I'm just, no judgment there. I put myself in that category as well. So I think that's, I think it's a lot of that's just hogwash. No, not to like shit on the whole. I just think everybody's autistic now. It's like that's the whole thing. It's like, oh, if you're weird at all, or you think differently than oh, you must be autistic, or oh, you're doing something differently than everybody else. Oh, it's because you're autistic. You're on the spectrum. Something like that. Oh, yeah, it's bullshit. You're just weird. I mean, some people are obviously, but they're quick to tell everybody that they're some form of autistic at this point now. But I don't know. You know, Dirk, what's up, man? What's happening, brother? Saw you were live. Can't stay. Figure out to stop by. Always appreciate you stopping by, man. Good to see you in here. Always appreciate it, my man. Even though you do hate Dawn of the Dead, or you call it Yawn of the Dead, as you call it, but you're always welcome, my brother. I always appreciate you, Dirk. And I know you're a huge Kubrick fan. I know you're a big Eyes Wide Shut fan too. So, um, Matt saying, should Eyes Wide Shut be considered a Christmas movie like Die Hard? I do. I mean, I watch it every year for Christmas. It gives me, to me, a Christmas movie is whatever puts you in the Christmas spirit, and something about Eyes Wide Shut puts me in the Christmas spirit. I don't know why. It's just a weird dream-like movie. Like the sets, like it's supposed to be New York, but like the downtown sets, it just feels like some place that doesn't exist. I don't know. It's so cool. Yeah, one of Burt Reynolds' best performances, yeah, for sure. And in Deliverance, 100%. The harmonica plays a character in that. Holy Parish of Doom, Rollins on IFC, yeah, that was good stuff. Yeah, I love that fucking show. They only did 2 seasons of it, but it was just the most interesting like grouping of musical guests, and it'd be like tonight's guests, we're gonna sit down and have a discussion with Marilyn Manson, and then a special musical performance from the New York Dolls, and you're just like, whoa, this is fucking great! Like this is the greatest goddamn show ever made. Where else are you gonna see Marilyn Manson and the New York Dolls on the same show? On like fucking primetime TV. I mean, he was IFC, but I mean, it was like, you know, Daniel Johnston, Rocky Erickson, Bobby Liebing are my 3 favorite music documentaries. I haven't seen the other 2. I'll have to look those up and find out. Okay, that's it. That'd be an interesting thing to talk about, music documentaries, because there's quite a few that I really like. I don't know if not the biggest fan of their music necessarily, but the Kings of Leon documentary, Talahina Sky. That's like a mix between like music documentary and like hillbilly documentary, 2 of my favorite things. So I'm all about that. See, since I never saw Dynamite, yeah, I've never seen that one either. Imagine the Banjo Kid from Deliverance is a Walmart door greeter in northern Georgia, in the same town where they filmed it. Wow, that's kid went far. I mean, how can you build a career off that? I mean, you're the Banjo Kid from Deliverance, you know. I guess you could. He should do fucking conventions. Somebody needs, dude. You're not far. Take a trip up there and walk into that Walmart and be like, dude, you should just start doing conventions. I mean, people will fucking pay bukus of money to have that guy signed. I don't know if does Deliverance really have a big. I'm sure it does. I mean, I'm sure it has there's a fan base out there that collects and shit for Deliverance. I'm sure. Rollins should have had him on back then. Hey, Seth. Let's see. Here we go. Dirk saying, love that release, and Ari Aster, in my opinion, is the best of the current directors. Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, there's a couple that I really enjoy. I mean, he's definitely one. Robert Eggers is another. But to me, like Ari Aster, like between Hereditary, Midsommar, and even Beau is Afraid. Like I was a huge fan of Beau is Afraid too. That's just a weird fucking movie. That's like three movies in one. I just think he's so talented. The way he sees film. It's just I don't know. I see a lot of newer movies now, and it's just like you can see that they're competent filmmakers and it's well made stuff, I guess. But you don't see the director's, you don't hear the director's voice. You don't see it through his eyes. And Ari Aster is one of those guys that, like, when you watch an Ari Aster film, like, you're watching something different. You're going to see something different. He's going to make you feel something different. And Eggers is kind of like that. Who else is another good modern filmmaker that I really like? Brandon Cronenberg is another one. That anytime that they got something coming out, I gotta go see it because it's going to be something different, whether I like it or not. Like I wasn't really the biggest fan of Infinity Pool, but it's a movie that I still think about today, and I own, and it's different, and that's all you can ask for, really, from a lot of filmmakers now. Since it reminded me of that wild artwork in that $1,500 book for The Shining, that's crazy. $1,500 for a book, but hey, somebody's got the money, so somebody will buy it. Holy Parish of the Dude, my daughter and I went into Hereditary cold early in its release. Completely worked for me. Midsommar did not. That's interesting. Yeah, I've heard some people say like Midsommar didn't quite work. Hereditary for sure. I mean that's I saw Hereditary after Midsommar. Like Hereditary, like when I first saw Hereditary come out, and that was like during that period where there was like all those like ghost story movies. So I've never been a huge fan of like The Conjuring and all that. Never been a huge fan of those movies. So when I saw Hereditary, I was like, oh, that just sounds like another Conjuring or something like that. So I never really saw it until I saw Midsommar, and I was like, holy shit. Because Midsommar is basically just a modernized version of The Wicker Man. I'm a huge Wicker Man fan. Although that's kind of unfair to say. I mean, it's in the same flavor, but it's a completely different thing. But it's kind of the same idea in a way. Maybe a little bit. So when I saw Midsommar or Midsummer, whatever, that's when I would go back and watch Hereditary, and I was just like, holy shit, how did I miss this fucking movie? And then Beau is Afraid was one that I was just watching. I was just like, where is this going? It's one of those movies you had no idea where the fuck it was going. And I like shit like that. I hate watching a movie where I just instantly know where the hell I'm going. Children of Men. Craziest Camera Work was in Children of Men. I don't think I've seen that. And that's one that came out not too long ago. Let's see. Sean says Synthwave Horror is a rescore of Night of the Living Dead. It's on Tubi. Oh, I'll check it out. Yeah, because that was always one thing. I mean, I know some people, I mean, it's kind of iconic now, but that was always one thing that never, like especially when I was younger, like some of the needle drop and stuff that they used for the Night of the Living Dead. I was just kind of like, it just kind of dates it. Like some of the big band sounding stuff. I don't know. It just kind of sounded a little dated to my ears back then. Let's see. I'm gonna try to catch up here real quick. I'm gonna get this movie rolling, guys. I know it's then we'll just kick back and talk about this shit. But I'm having fun with comments. So I mean, what the hell, we can keep this going as the movie's going. I guess we'll go ahead and do that. Actually, I'll pick back up in the comments here in a second. We'll go ahead and get this movie rolling. Like I said, if you guys want to watch along, link to the movie's down in the description box below. You can check it out. It's on the YouTube. I put it up for you guys for anybody that hasn't seen it or doesn't own it or just needs a convenient, quick way to check it out and watch it. All right, let me see here. Let me try to fix my my Windows setup here. There we go. There we go. All right, that works. Let me regroup here. I'll get back to the comments here in just a second, but we'll go ahead and get this movie rolling. So I'm not here until the early hours of the Saturday morning tomorrow. But yeah, this is the Night of the Living Dead 30th anniversary edition, written and directed by the great John Russo. Like I said, I guess the motivation for doing this was people trying these people that lost the rights to this movie and when they lost the copyright and all. Everybody knows the story. I don't have to go through it all again, but so I'm guessing that's why they did this. But it came out in 1999 on DVD on VHS from Anchor Bay, and it was this is pretty much universally panned, hated, just one of the least favorite entries into the Night of the Living Dead lore or the Romero lore, even though it's not technically related to the Romero, but I mean, it's Night of the Living Dead, so it is, it is what it is. So we'll go ahead and hit play here. Just a second. I'll give you the countdown. It'll be a 3, 2, 1, press play now. So if you guys want to get it queued up and ready to go, I'm at the very beginning here. And then we'll watch and discuss, and we'll get back to the comments here. Anything you guys really want to talk about or chat about, I'm all for it. So yeah, so like I said, link down in the description below if you want to watch along. So we'll get started. And I'll call out timestamps as we go along here, just to make sure we're all kind of on the same page. And as far as I fucking know, this is the only version of this movie that exists, so we're not all going to be watching something completely different. So so that's why I made sure to upload it to YouTube for people to watch unlisted. So we're all on the same page this time. So here we go. I'm going to give a countdown. 3, 2, 1, press play now. And then when I say now, I'm hitting play and then we're rolling. So it'd be 3, 2, 1, press play now. And there it is. That music kicks in. Now, like I was saying earlier, so music, here we go. Music score composed by Scott Vladimir Lesina. Don't know too much about him. He's the guy that still plays the priest or whatnot. But I will say some of the music is not bad. He should have just played the music. He should have just done the music and it would have been fine. But his performance or whatever you want to call this thing, and it's iconic in a bad way. I'll just say that. Like that would be a fun guest, honestly, at a convention of Larry's Legend. But maybe reach out, maybe see if we can get him to a Living Dead weekend. That'd be fucking hilarious. I don't know who like. It's my people bringing up their Night of Living Dead 30th anniversary editions to get him to sign it. Um, oh man. Okay, let me try to catch up on some comments here. So we're getting the movie started. Let's see where the hell I am. Some of this dialogue is so bad. Come on, Frankie. And if you know me, everybody knows that, like, if you've been watching this channel at all, one of my biggest pet peeves in any movie that it just takes me out of any movie immediately is a bad Southern accent. And there's some bad Southern accents in this. I don't know why. I mean, it takes place in Pittsburgh, so I don't know. So I guess that's supposed to be the truck that Ben drives in the movie. This is the origin story for the truck. That's really all this is. All this added stuff here. This opening scene. It's the origin story of the truck. How did the truck get to Beekman's Diner? He says it here. This guy, I don't know what the fuck his name is. Guy in the cowboy hat. This guy, we gotta bury this guy and get to Beekman's Diner. So he can flirt with the waitress or whatever. And I always thought it was funny. It was like, so here in a second, we'll see, the cemetery zombie Bill Heinzman come back to life and attack these guys. And they get in the truck and drive off. And I guess still their destination is going to be Beekman's Diner. Not the police station, not the hospital or anything like that. It's like, let's get to the diner. And I guess this is how Ben finds the truck. So if there's anything that kind of ties the movies together, I guess that's it. It's the truck origin story. Let's see here. Sorry, I lost track of the comments. I catch up here. Since then, my ex-girlfriend's parents were mad at me for suggesting Eyes in the theater. I was cracking up afterwards. Yeah, it's one of those movies. It's like you got to be a certain type of guy or certain type of character that would, you'd be interested in watching something like that, especially in a theater. Holy Parish of the Doom says, I think Eyes Wide Shut would be a bit off the radar for the average person. Yeah, for sure. Dirk saying, definitely love Eyes Wide Shut. That film just keeps giving more with every watch. That's true. Yeah, so many answers, but don't know how to ask questions. That's a really good way of putting it. That's a subjective perspective, collective way of putting that. That's a good way of putting it. It gives you all the answers, but you don't even know how to ask the questions to put them all together. That's really good shit there, Dirk. That's why you guys should all subscribe and check out Dirk's channel, Subjective Perspective Collective. Always some great discussions on there. It's just some movies that really don't get talked about a whole lot, and then they really go deep into it. Especially a lot of the Italian stuff, a lot of European stuff. Good shit. TCCK Gaming, what's up, man? Hey, man, long time no see. Been busy. That's good, man. Always stay busy. That's the important part of life. Stay busy. You don't run, you rust, as Tom Petty would say. But good to see you in here, man. It has been a while. I knew if I put Night of Living Dead, the 30th anniversary edition on, it would draw all the old it would draw the crowd, everybody from back in the day to. So now we're getting introduced here. Here he is. Are those his real teeth? You think that's old Scott Vlad's? What am I, Scotty Vlad? You know who he reminds me of? If you guys have ever seen Paradise Lost, the Paradise Lost films about the West Memphis Three, he reminds me of Damien Eccles. Like the way he talks and his accent, he kind of has that that Arkansas accent, you know. He does kind of remind me of Damien. It just hit me. He reminds me he's Damien Eccles. There's the man himself, Mr. Bill Heinzman. And it's kind of funny that brought him back after 30 years. I mean, he looks completely different. Which, I mean, anybody would after 30 years, but you know. It's fucking bald headed Damien Eccles, I swear. Damien, you go to hell and you die. John Mark Byers, one of the greatest characters in any documentary, any film ever, I swear. So they basically have given the cemetery ghoul the backstory that he's a child murderer and he was put to death. I guess they fried him, and now they brought him out to bury him in front of the father and the mother of the child that he murdered because they wanted to see him buried. So that's how he gets to the cemetery, I guess. The actor here without the cowboy hat, I don't know. Oh, he's awake. Here he comes. Um, the actor without the cowboy hat's actually not too bad. It's just everybody else. It's just not very good. And it's funny that I guess they didn't shoot this in the Evans City Cemetery for whatever reason. I don't know why they wouldn't just go back to the Evans City Cemetery, but this is a completely different cemetery. Um, and it's not the one in Washington either. So now we transition from that brilliant opening scene into the movie, the actual movie. And there's beautiful Judith O'Day and the badass Russ Striner there, and Johnny and Barbara. And it just feels like it just transitions into a completely different feel of a movie for sure. Um, see, Dirk saying, by the way, just did a deep dive on Argento's opera. I'm sure you know, but Romero said the best scene ever shot was that aerial rape. Yeah, Raven scene. Didn't know that. Yeah, I've heard Romero mention that shot a number of times in different interviews and documentaries where he was just blown away when he first saw that shot of, because I guess he asked Dario on the set of Two Evil Eyes how he did that, and Dario tried to explain it. I guess I've seen some footage of how they shot that, and it's just basically like this giant crane construction at the top of this theater, and the thing would just like circle and it was just this crazy fucking thing. And yeah, it blew George away. I mean, George mentioned that specific shot in that film multiple times over the years. Definitely. Holy Parish of Doom. It's not Midsommar's premise that didn't work for me. It's an eye full either way, but the characters. Yeah, I mean the characters never really bothered me. I didn't love the characters. I think it was just more of the situation and just trying to take everything in. And it was weird because you watch it at first and it just seems like when they get to the commune or whatever, everything seems peaceful and um, seems like idyllic place to be. But then in the back of your head like shit's gonna go south, but you just don't. Like the first time you see it, you don't really know how south it's gonna go and how fucked up it's gonna get. Um, I don't know. It just and I was super, super stoned when I first saw it. So it really fucked with my head first time I saw it. Dirk saying, I completely agree. At Holy Parish, Eyes Wide Shut, not for everyone. Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. I think you could say that about a lot of Kubrick stuff. I remember even though when The Shining came out back in the day, a lot of people didn't like it. Um, The Shining really didn't catch on until some years later. Um, there's a new name, the Not Very Social. What's going on? Good to see you. That's a new name in here. Appreciate it. Night of the Living Dead is the only movie I haven't seen yet. I thought The Living Dead taking over the world seemed feasible. Um, okay, so you're saying it's the only movie where you felt like it was feasible. Yeah. It's really the first movie to kind of do that. So it's not only a new score, new soundtrack, but it's got some new sound effects in here too, which I didn't mind. They tried to clean it up, I guess. They tried to improve on it over the years, which is always a fool's errand. I think anytime that people try to go back, and it's like George Lucas and Star Wars and that whole thing, which I'm not too super familiar with or into, but it's like and there's always the argument. It's like, well, it's the filmmaker's film, it's their art, they have the total right to go back and change it or alter it however they want to. So, but I don't know. It's I think at some point you just got to kind of let it go and let it be what it is. Holy Parish of Doomsday. I can't recall where/how I saw this. Just know it's one I never sought out again. So, Dawn's your favorite? Yeah, I think that's common. That's definitely my all time favorite movie for sure. I got the tattoo and everything. Um, I will say the quality of this is not too bad. They did a pretty good job cleaning this up in '99. I mean, this is from the DVD, but and see, like that's what I'm talking about in terms of like the little musical cues that I'm kind of a fan of. Is that some of the music cues that they use in this just kind of it's still the original score, the original soundtrack or whatever, but they kind of add to it a little bit, just a little bit here, a little bit there to kind of add a little more inflection to it, I guess. So I just never really minded that. I thought, and this little piece of music here, the doon 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 doon. Never mind. I thought it works. I know this is sacrilege to say, but I think there's parts of this that kind of work. Um, I don't know. It's a different way to watch a movie you've seen 100 times, I guess. But there you go, Sean saying he would get old Scott Vladimir Lassini or whatever his name is to get him to sign the DVD. I would too. I mean, I think that would be a funny. I think honestly, for the diehard Romero fan, I think that would be a funny convention guest, and I think that there would be quite a few people that would be interested in meeting him and getting his signature on some shit. I think that'd be pretty fucking hilarious. John said I'm a sucker for all versions of Night of the Living Dead, including this one. I love them all. Um, I wouldn't say I love them all, but I do like I have a soft spot in my heart for them. I don't know, guys. I got to tell you, I'm not hating this music. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Is it sacrilege? Should it have been done? No, but it was, and it could have been a whole lot worse. The music, at least. I'm not talking about the scenes that were added, but and there's always been the discussion, the back and forth that of the constant argument of slow zombies versus fast zombies, and of course you always hear people always come back with like, oh well, the first zombie you ever see in Night of the Living Dead he's kind of running, and yeah, that's kind of true, but yeah, I think it was the first of its kind, and they were still trying to figure out, what the hell these things were and what the rules were and everything. And it's like over time, like the rules kind of became pretty fucking established, and but I don't know, it never really bothered me. I don't really care one way or the other. I'm not I don't I prefer slower zombies, I guess, just because my favorite zombie movies include the slower zombies. But as long as there's a good story there, it's a good movie. That's all I care about. I don't give a shit if they're slow, fast, or whatever. Uh, Dark Side Night of the Living Dead 1968 was my first VHS purchase, along with The Bat. Okay, I had a yard sale for 50 cents, and I wore those tapes out at 5 years old. Do you remember what version of Night of the Living Dead you had on VHS? Because they released every company that ever existed, that put out any form of VHS or DVD even, put out some version of Night of the Living Dead at some point. I'm trying to think, what was I guess the first version of Night of the Living Dead that I bought on VHS. I think it was a Good Times. I think was the company that did it. Good Times Releasing or whatnot. It was like a blue case, really bad quality. But yeah, there's so many different ones out there. I still find shit in the wild that I had no idea existed, never seen before. Holy Parish Doomsday, there's an animated Night of the Living Dead on Tubi. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I think it's called like Night of the Animated Dead or something like that. Never seen it. Never really had the urge to see it. Maybe at some point I'll check it out just out of sheer curiosity. But it's so funny when you see Bill Heinzman here and then you see him at the beginning. It looks like two completely different characters. And it's funny, he actually looks older. To me, he looks older in 68 than he did in 98. Because I always thought, like when I saw like the cemetery ghoul for the first time, I always thought it was an old man. I was always an older guy. I guess it's just because of the way he's made up and the outfit. And I don't know. No, I don't hate this music. I don't know. As music, I mean, I don't know if I don't know. Probably wouldn't shouldn't have been used for Night of the Living Dead, but I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. Ed Trader says they should have gotten a camera from the 60s that still operated and used a similar film stock. The new stuff looks so jarringly different. Yeah. I mean, it's just, what can you do? I know Russ still has uh, the old camera from back in the day, was George's favorite camera to use, I guess. But I mean, it would have been, you got to think with the budget that they had to go back and use the same equipment from back in the day would have been so expensive because they would have had to have gotten the film, you know, not developed, but you know what I mean. I guess it was just easier because I don't know. Does it look like that the new stuff that was shot? Does it look like that was shot on film, or does that look like videotape to you? Because to me, it just kind of looks like videotape, but I could be wrong. You gotta think shooting on film is far more expensive than shooting on videotape, which is why so many like low budget 80s slasher movies and horror movies back in the day were all shot on video because it was cheaper. Sean says, I love the animated one with all the different art styles. Okay, that's interesting. Well, if you're putting it over, I might check it out. Put that light out. But yeah, it's just one of I always see like when I'm out and about, different stores and stuff. I'll see it and I'm like, yeah, there's like a bit of me that's curious, but not enough to go out of my way to watch it. Since saying Gustini, the makeup guy on 30th, worked on Spookies. There you go. Some I know he worked on SNL. They mentioned that in the behind the scenes. But Spookies, Thinner, Dogma, Man on the Moon, Requiem for a Dream, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Scary Movie 4, etc. I didn't know that. I will say, I mean, the effects work in this is not bad. Like the zombie effects, the gore, the makeup effects and stuff don't look too bad. So I mean, hats off to him for that. Um, yeah, I didn't know all that. But yeah, I remember they mentioned that on the behind the scenes featurette that he was working on Saturday Night Live. I think at the time that they were making this, or maybe beforehand. I'm not sure. But so Ben's here. Ben has arrived. Ow. So yeah, at this point, basically, we're just watching Night of the Living Dead with a different score and different soundtrack. But you know, there's still like right here the little tinges of the original score, and which just kind of throws it off even more because it sounds so much different than the Lassini score. Is that his name? Lassini, Scott Vladimir Lassini, or is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure. I don't know what else that guy's has done in his career. I'm gonna give him a quick look up on IMDb, actually, just out of curiosity, just to see. So let's see, IMDb, Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary Edition, 2.8 out of 10 on IMDb. That's actually better than I thought it would have been. It's got a higher score than Children of the Living Dead, believe it or not. Children of the Living Dead's got a 2.4. So, I mean, I guess it's got that going for him, right? All right, where is this fucking guy? Doo-doo-doo-doo. See, like, to me now, like, after years and years and years of watching this movie and studying this movie and everything, like, of course, the original score and all the needle drop and library music and stuff that they used, um, it's iconic to me now. But when I first watched this movie, like, when I was younger, I thought that, you know, the newer score or whatever, it was more modern, I guess. It was more modern sounding to me, so I thought it worked a little better. But I think like I said, I think it's fine music. But I'm gonna read this user review: a total scam, 1 star out of 10. I can't find this fucking guy. You are in IMDb. Hang on, knocking shit over here. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Good lord. I can't find this guy on this page at all. Here he is, Scott Vladimir Lassina. Reverend Hicks, that's his name. What else has he done? The Unholy Manipulator, 2012. The Inedible Bulk, in 2005. Okay. So I guess he was the writer. I guess The Unholy Manipulator is a short film he was a writer of in 2012. I guess he composed the score for The Inedible Bulk. And I guess he has some role in Vampires, Thirst for the Truth. I don't know what the hell that is, from 96. But that's really all the credits that he's got. So this is probably the biggest thing that guy's ever done. So who knows where he's at now, or where the hell they found this guy at, where they dug him up from. Because he's not like an original, like, this is the only credit that he, real credit that he has. So, I don't know. I'm just completely stuck on trying to find out more about this fucking guy. I just think he's just funny. I don't know. It's a funny fucking guy. Funny character. Yeah, I think that was the idea. Sent this guy's such a character of small town priest. I think that was like what they were going for, but it's so weird because he also looks like a satanic priest or something. Says that guy just mentioned Beekman's Diner, and he happens to drive the same type of truck. But yeah, I must be way behind on these comments, guys. I apologize, but got nothing else going on right now. They could have used some filmic plugins, not expensive to match the film look and feel the original night, but they were lazy, not broke. That's probably true too. Bunny says, "I always say that can really happen." Yeah. What are you talking about? I'm so far behind on these guys. I apologize if some of these don't make any sense to me. Um, if you want to clarify, Bonnie, maybe I'll catch up to you at some point. Um, since it's so weird to visit the cemetery with all these local trees gone from that storm. Yeah. Well, the cemetery that they showed, I don't think that was the Evan City Cemetery. I'm pretty sure that was somewhere else. I'm not sure where, but that did not look like the Evan City Cemetery to me. This is interesting. Holy Parish the Doom says my nitpick of Night of the Living Dead is why would so many zombies, uh, ostensibly out in the middle of nowhere, rural low population, be inexplicably drawn to this farmhouse? Well, my theory is that Ben going through turning on all the lights as he just did here, making all this noise, nailing up all this wood to these windows, the arguing going on when Harry Cooper and they all come up, they draw the attention of all the ghouls be just being stationary in one place, making all this noise, which goes into the argument of who was right, Harry or Ben. You know, Ben may have been right, but at the same time, Ben made their situation worse by making all this noise and turning on all the lights in the house and all that stuff, and actually drawing the attention and drawing more of the ghouls in. So that's my theory on it of why that. And I think Tom Savini kind of plays into that in the remake too. Um, I think that he kind of points that out at one point, if I remember correctly, where he's talking about all the hammering and banging and stuff is what's kind of drawing them in, drawing them to the house. Stugas, what's up, man? Stugas dive. Ah, shit, late to the party. No problem, man. So was I. Like I said earlier, I was about 10 minutes late getting in, but we're here. But good to see you as always, my man. Since said they added some okay synthy bits here and there, but the piano was kind of a creep show ripoff. Yeah, I could definitely hear some creep show in this score. Holy Parish loves Creepshow. I think everybody loves Creepshow. Who hates Creepshow? I've never heard anybody say like, "Oh, Creepshow, what a piece of shit." Even if it's not your favorite, it's definitely not my favorite Romero film. It's not one of those Romero films that I watch all the time or anything. But it's you gotta love it. I mean, it's such a iconic fucking horror movie. The Not Very Social says the score they dubbed over the chase is less dramatic than the original. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But like stuff like right here, like they had a little bit of the piano underneath Ben's monologue here. I don't know. It just never that. This is the one aspect of this movie that never bothered me was some of the music and some of the score, and just kind of the little bits and pieces they added here and there. Now, does it work for the whole thing? No, but what the hell? Yeah, exactly, Bonnie. All that yelling and hammering. That's how. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're on the same page. We get it. Since it's for the library score and little bits by Hardman. Yeah, I do too. Like I said, at this point, after watching it so many times, like for sure, that's the night soundtrack to me. Um, but like I said, when I first saw this version, I hadn't seen Night of the Living Dead 1,000 times. I just thought it was an updated score, and I was like, it works. Like there's certain parts I know later at the end of the film when Karen Cooper's coming at her mom with the trowel, and it cuts to her, and every time it cuts to her, it does that don don don. I think that works great. I think that works fine. Although as the years have gone on, I kind of like the silence of the original when Karen's coming at her, and it's just you just hear the noise going on upstairs. But whatever. Let's see. Nuts Very Social says he wasn't an Olympic sprinter with infinite stamina. Big difference. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, you're talking about the cemetery ghoul. That's true. Yeah, and plus you can also make the argument that like maybe he was just recently reanimated, so it's like maybe he's. It takes a minute for the decomposition to set in, but what the hell. Dirk says, random fact, Prince Charles is the great-grandson 16 times removed of Vlad the Impaler. Fucking crazy shit. I did not know that. I believe it, but I did not know that. I know some people nitpick at Judith O'Dea's performance in this movie at times. I think people mostly kind of nitpick it when she comes to here. She just passed out, but when she comes to and she's just in a catatonic state the rest of the movie. But I think her little monologue there, where she's talking about it works well because the way she's telling the story of how her and Johnny got to the cemetery and all that. I think it works really well because it's just so disconjointed. It makes no sense. At one point, she's talking about like, and Johnny asked if there was any candy, and we didn't have any candy. And it's like it's stuff that's not pertinent to the story, but she's just in this frantic state, so she's just telling the story in bits and pieces the best she can. I just think I really liked her performance in that, the way that you can see her kind of just crumbling inside, and just trying to deal with what's going on. Since says, as I said on Facebook, the slow zombies help the narrative, and since George often grounded his stuff in reality, decaying flesh can't run or act superhuman. Yeah, for sure. And it's like I said on Facebook, it's like, why didn't George or not George, but why didn't Michael Myers just run around the neighborhood with an AK-47? That'd have been way scarier, other than just like walking around slowly and staring at people. Like, no, just have him go around the neighborhood and just blow everybody away. Why not? Drew said, I don't remember. I was so damn young. Oh, you talk about the VHS? Yeah, like there's 1,000 to choose from. Sticker said the first night DVD I got had a gold border around the cover. Hang on, let me grab. I think I know what you're talking about. I think I have the same one. Yeah, maybe I don't. Actually, I don't. I guess I don't have that version. I used to have it, but I think I got rid of it. But I know what you're talking about. It was like Hollywood Classics or something like that was the name of the company that released it. I think that's the same one. But like I said, there's so many out there. Who fucking knows? Holy Parachute says, my first and only night DVD I have is the Elite version. Yeah, that's the best version to me. DVD wise, at least. I think the best version I own, period, is just the Criterion Blu-ray or 4K that they just put out. That's pretty much everything you'd ever need. Let me listen close to this. I don't know if I ever noticed, but is this radio? Yeah, this radio broadcast is a re-recording too, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It does kind of sound like from the original, but for a second there, it kind of sounded like a re-recording. Anybody know in the chat for sure? The scenes where the zombies break the windshield and headlights may have been inspired by Last Man on Earth scenes. Yeah, it probably was. But I mean, George has talked about pretty openly how inspired he was from I Am Legend, the Richard Matheson novel. And of course, that would go on to be Last Man on Earth, Vincent Price, and The Omega Man with Charlton Heston. Very inspirational, a lot of different films. So, very, 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 Very possible. Yeah, children's pretty goddamn bad. I'll say that. It says something when that's got a lower score on IMDb than this fucking thing. Watched the Riff Tracks version of Last Man recently. I actually saw the Riff Tracks. They did this was probably 10 years ago. They did a theater run of Night of the Living Dead with the Riff Tracks guys doing a commentary over it. That's pretty. It's pretty funny, but I always tell the story. It's like they're riffing on it, and everybody in the theater is kind of having a good time with it and laughing and stuff. But the movie still works despite all the comedy and shit. Oh yeah, this is a re-recording of this fucking radio broadcast because this is not in the original. They're talking about Beekman's Diner and shit blowing up. I don't guess I've ever. Again, I haven't seen this movie in fucking years. I haven't watched this thing all the way through in many, many, many years. But that voice still does sound like Charles Craig, I believe. Did they get Charles Craig to come and do more record? That's kind of cool in a way. Look on the positive side. But here's this random scene that they've just thrown in here in the middle to just throw some more zombies in this movie, I think. And this is Dee Michelucci, the wife of Bob Michelucci, Bob Michelucci was one of the producers on there. He worked with Russo on Santa Claus and worked with Russo to get Scream Queens magazine off. And I actually really like that shot there where they pull the body out and the head flops back and the giant hole in the head and the brain matter falls out of his head. I thought that was kind of cool when I was younger, but whatever. And then these kids here, Dawn Michelucci, I believe, is the daughter of Bob and Dee. But Bob Michelucci, for you guys that don't know, he's the Scope zombie in Dawn of the Dead. That's kind of his big thing. But he was mostly he's the designer of the original video poster, the video store poster back there, the poster book. Where it's got the shots of Roger rising and the dawn in the background. That's Bob Michelucci. I mean, he does all kinds of conventions all the time. He's everywhere. So yeah, here's just an extra scene of some chaos, some zombie chaos, some zombies eating on a corpse, a wrecked car, and some folks shuffling down the road headed to wherever. I don't know, but yeah, for sure. They definitely just added that to add a little more zombie action in the middle of this, I guess, for the younger folks. I don't know. Yeah, since in the Unholy Manipulator sounds like a satanic porn film. I mean, it may be. I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. I don't plan on watching it, but I'm kind of curious now. You never know. Bonnie Stan Abbott Hayes. Oh God, the fucking guy from Children of Jesus. It's awful. Movie's terrible, but I like to watch it. Yeah, I mean that's one I have not seen in years and years and years. I like the first 10 minutes of the movie with Savini because I think Savini's just a complete badass in that movie. But when after that 10 minutes, after Savini's done, it really just goes into the shitter and not very good. It's one of those movies even that like Russo was just tell you straight up, it's like not a good movie. It's a piece of shit. Sean said the soundtrack CD is on Discogs with asking prices of $170 to $186. Are you fucking serious? This one, the 30th anniversary edition, is on Discogs for a $170, $186. That's insane. Which I think there's a DVD version of this that has the film and the soundtrack on a CD in the same package. That's hilarious. Who the fuck is buying that? Oh, Night of the Living Dead, it could happen. I mean, maybe. I mean, who the fuck knows? It's not impossible, I guess. I mean, I guess it is to this point impossible, but you never know. Since I'm at the actual Evans City Cemetery, the Father's Grave. Okay, yeah, it has all those trees around it, but they are gone now due to the big storm, according to commentaries. Yeah, there was the big. They always talk about Russo always talks about the big tornadoes that came through there, and tore up, destroyed all those trees and actually uprooted a lot of the bodies in that cemetery. It's kind of creepy to think about, but Um, Not very social. I would not have flicked on all the lights, only the ones in whatever room I was in at the time, and be inconspicuous. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing that people don't really talk about is Ben's bad decision to turn all the lights on and make all that noise to draw. That's what kind of draws more of them in. Like you would think, like if him and Barbara had just stayed in the house, turned all the lights off, and just stayed quiet, that'd probably been fine. They probably would have been okay. Um, because you got to think like you Harry and Tom and Judy and all those, they're down in the basement right now. And when Barbara gets to the house, there's nobody in the house. There's no zombies really in the house or anything going on. So they were smart enough to just go into the basement and just fucking be quiet. So anyway, I can get off on that nerd topic at any time. If you want to talk about like the logistics of like who was right and who was wrong and what they should have done, what they shouldn't have done. It's those things when you're at work and your mind is off somewhere else. There's those things you think about. It's like, what if they would have done this? How would have that? Well, they couldn't have done that because of this. That type of shit. There's Greg Carl Hardman and Keith Wayne, and of course Carl Hardman was a part of the making of this version, the shooting of the newer scenes and all that. You can see him in the behind the scenes featurette that I posted yesterday. So yeah, a lot of these guys stuck together, throughout their entire careers. Russo and Striner and Carl Hardman, Bill Heinzman. I mean, the main ones that really stuck together pretty much from day one all the way up. And I don't know what would have been the last thing that Russo did, but Russo, Hardman, Heinzman, McCullough, like those guys pretty much stuck together and worked within the same company pretty much throughout all of their entire careers. Marilyn Eastman, of course. I need something else to drink. So crack me open a Diet Dr. Pepper like a real party animal on a Friday night. Watching Night of the Living Dead, 30th anniversary edition. Having a Diet Dr. Pepper, by God. So timestamp right now we are at for anybody joining in. Like I said, if you want to watch along, link to the movies down in the description below. Timestamp right now we are right at 43 minutes. So there you go. It Trader said, off topic, but that Zenith radio is my holy grail of wanted collectibles. Yeah, mine too. I would love to have that fucking thing. You'll find them. I mean, people seem to find them fairly often. If you've ever visited the Living Dead Museum at the Monroeville Mall, they have one. They actually have it hooked up. I don't know. I guess they have like a sound system or something playing the radio broadcast stuff through it. Actually, I don't know if it's playing through it, but it's in that vicinity. But yeah, they have one. I've seen quite a few people with those radios. I've never come across one myself or found one, but it's definitely on the list of must-haves. That and the solid state JCPenney TV for from Dawn. Yeah. Bonnie says, I grew up by an old cemetery. I thought about it a lot. I'm sure you did. I think about that all the time. Like I see these houses that are like literally right next to cemeteries, and it's just like you got to think there's it's got to fuck with your head. I don't care how grown or not scared of shit you are, or non-superstitious you are. There's still got to be something. Like I used to like when I was in high school, I dated a girl and her grandmother, her grandma's house was like right next to a cemetery. So when we go over there, we just go over and walk around the cemetery. But she would tell us some of the just fucking creepiest ghost stories and stuff that she had experienced in that house. And it's just like, well, you live next to this fucking cemetery, and it's the cemetery. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Edgar Casey or not. Um, but from where I'm from, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, is where he was from. He was, I guess, it's like an old psychic or something that died years and years ago. But he's buried in that fucking cemetery. So you got a cemetery with a guy that was supposedly like this psychic fortune teller. I don't know what the hell you'd call him. But he's buried in that fucking cemetery. And funny enough, then that cemetery, people will go to Edgar Casey's grave and his headstone and leave money for good luck. So you'll just see like coin pennies and quarters and stuff on this dude's headstone for good luck. So one time we went out there and we laid down some coins, for good luck and all that. And I went back out there like maybe a few weeks later, go back to his headstone, and the fucking change that was left there had looked like it had been arranged into the initials of my girlfriend at the time. And needless to say, we didn't fuck with his headstone or do anything ever again. So, but yeah, I've always found that to be fascinating. I was like, why don't you just? There's other houses out there. There's other places to go. You don't got to live right next to the graveyard. But anyway, so here they come. Now this is new footage, and you can easily tell. None of these ghouls look. There you go, hey, John Vulo. I know you probably checked out as soon as I hit play on this fucking thing, but if you watch the replay, there's your next task. Go through and find all the ghouls from the added footage of Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary Edition. Track them down. If anybody could do it, it'd be fucking John, man. Let me tell you. So yeah, that was D. Michelucci there passing by. Now, there's Marilyn Eastman looking like she's got oatmeal on her face or something like that. And I never ever knew that was Marilyn Eastman the first time. Like first few times I saw it, it never clicked with me that was the same woman that plays Helen. I was talking to last night. I went to see a movie, Whiplash. It's the movie from 2014. They were having the 10-year anniversary, playing it at the AMC theater. Went to see it with him. We were in the parking lot afterwards talking about Night of the Living Dead and what makes Night of the Living Dead great, what makes zombie movies great. And to me, the conflict between the characters, and that's what makes this movie great to me, is just the conflict between the two. There's no real right answer. There's no real wrong answer. It's like the zombies are cool. They're the threat. They're the thing that's kind of, bearing down on these people. But what's really interesting about this film is just how they're dealing with it. Who's right? Who's wrong? The conflict between the humans. And that's kind of George. That's always been George's MO. That's kind of how George has always written his zombie films. And the way he always seems like, to him, the zombies were just the hurricane or the volcano or whatever, just the circumstance that these characters are in. And he's more interested in telling the story of how these characters deal with it. And I think that's the thing that really resonates and has resonated with people for 56 years now, with this movie. It's one of those that you can debate with your date or your friend or whoever after you leave the theater. It's like, who is right? Whose side are you on? And again, I mean, like I said, we can still get into this. We can still get into going back and forth and trying to figure out who is right and who is wrong. Oh, I'm trying to catch up. I don't know if I'm going to get to any of these comments. Hang on. Ben's acting was emotive enough without the extra score. Yeah, that's true. And when you're talking about Ben's monologue, I'll agree with that. Not very social. Of the two, I'd like to see the Beekman's Diner Massacre more than what we actually get to see in the original film. Yeah, that would actually be something that might be interesting to see, just like an extra scene of just that. But I mean, where are you gonna put it? It would kind of just be out of place if you would have just had the original movie and just thrown in some random scene like that. But Seth also don't like this updated radio voiceover. Yeah, redubbed, redubbed broadcast. Yeah, I picked it out. Like I don't guess I probably knew that, but I didn't think of it because, like I said, I haven't watched this movie all the way through. It's honestly been probably 15 years, maybe. God, maybe even longer. I don't even remember. But yeah, I do wonder if that was actually Charles Craig. They got him to do it again. I guess it sounded like him. It sounded just like him. So I'm guessing that they did. Trader says it was a different newscast. Yeah, there's some different dialogue too if you go back and listen. Yeah, I picked up on that at the end there, but sometimes it's hard to really listen to what's being said and what's going on in the movie and flap my gums at the same time. Hollywood Classics. Yeah, that was my first DVD purchase too. When we got our first DVD player, first DVD I bought was that Night of the Living Dead Hollywood Classics DVD. It looked like shit, but to me it was like, hey, it's a DVD. It looks great. This is amazing. But I remember I got it because it was so cheap. I think it was like $5 or something like that, and it was Night of the Living Dead, so I had to have it. Yep, that's right. Sent Heinzman's daughter in there missing an arm. Yep, that was Heinzman's daughter. What was her name? I don't know what Bill and Bonnie Heinzman's daughter's name is. I feel bad about that. Oh, if you like the score, you need to buy it. What a bar? Nah, I'm good on that. I don't like it that much. It's not like it's not the Vampire soundtrack from Goblin or anything. Let's not get crazy, but not very social. Here we have the original broadcast again, talking about the victims being eaten. No redubbing here. Okay, so yeah, they kind of blended the original radio broadcast with the new stuff. Since says in the night update they could digitally fix some key section play. Yeah, just fucking CGI the blinks out. Nah, that's what makes Tom Tom. He has that weird tick. Can't help it. I think one of the best aspects of Night of the Living Dead that doesn't, I mean, it's been talked about, but I don't think it really gets the credit that it deserves is the fact that in the late 60s, I mean, you're showing in the middle of what should be an action film, like not an action film, but a film that has a lot of action to it. Like there are a lot of movements, a lot of shit going on, I don't know, the realism or whatever you want to call it of like people gathering around the TV waiting for answers. Like, what does the TV say? Like, what should we do? I don't know. What does the TV say? Like, that's really the beginning of where we were as a people, as a country, or whatever. Like, that's kind of what we became. It was like we didn't know what to do. So anytime you don't know what to do, you turn to the TV. It's like we just it was the anniversary of 9/11. I remember everybody just being when 9/11 was going on, nobody knew what to do or how to feel or anything like that. So we were all just constantly glued to the TV. I think South Park parodies that in one episode. But you didn't see that a lot in movies back then. Like you didn't see that in horror movies. Like nobody just sat and watched the TV. Like, well, what's going on? And then you see TV broadcasts talking about it, and that's the way that you can expand and show that this is a large issue, a big problem. And I don't know. I think it's just kind of genius the way that they were able to, instead of actually, because they didn't have the budget to like go close down a block of a major city or anything and shoot a bunch of zombies shuffling down Main Street. So the best way to do it is just kind of everybody's access to the outside world at that time, and still really is the TV screen or the computer screen or the cell phone screen or whatever the hell else you want to look at. Like that's our window into the outside world and what's going on around us, and people get so wrapped up in it that you kind of forget to just stop and look around, and then you probably solve a lot of the problems a little closer to home easier if you were just did it that way. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Santa Claus. Hey, Christmas is right around the corner. I might make it an annual tradition to watch Santa Claus every Christmas. Eyes wide shut and Santa Claus to get in the Christmas spirit. Who says no? Carbonated prune juice. No thanks. Oh, you're talking about this Diet Dr. Pepper? Yeah, get out of here. It's delicious. Delicious, sir. Since my brother collects antiques, including radios, doesn't have that one. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen I've a couple times here recently. People posting that they've come across those radios, the Zeniths. I never have though, unfortunately. Yeah, want the exact Zenith radio used in the movie. They're out there. Probably not in the best shape because I mean they're probably 60 years old now at least at this point. So yeah, the putty hands. Yeah, it works. It works. Bonnie saying, yes, I know who Casey is. I might have to make a side trip next time I head to Tennessee. I love visiting cemeteries. Yeah, it's it's in Hopkinsville. What is the name of that damn cemetery? It's Riverside or River. It's on Main Street. I don't know. It's Riverside Cemetery or something like that. I don't know. Look it up. But it's where Edgar Casey's buried. And yeah, like I said, you'll see like change and money and stuff where people leave money for good luck and stuff like that. It's kind of creepy out there. But yeah, we used to walk around the cemetery all the time, and I've shot some stuff out there like with my camera. I went out there when it was like in a snow, it wasn't a snowstorm, but I mean it was like coming down or it was covering everything. There's beautiful stuff out there, but yeah, it was kind of weird that day that I went back out there, and that change literally looked like it had been rearranged into the initials of my ex-girlfriend. So we decided never to go back and really fuck with that too much again. Not very social. The shuts, the extra zombies coming is really bad. It does not look good at all. Yeah, I mean it looks pretty cheap. See, Harry Cooper's trying to be a team player here. He's trying, but he's worried about his daughter, man. Like that's the thing that I think people overlook. They think he's just being an asshole to be an asshole, but he doesn't give a fuck about these other people. He's worried about one person. I don't even think he's really worried about Helen Cooper at this point. But he's worried about Helen and his daughter. But he's trying to be a team player, so everybody gets along and all that. See what happens. See, I'm Team Harry. I don't give a shit. I'm Team Harry. He was right. If they would all just went down the cellar and shut the hell up and waited it out, they'd all be. They'd all have been fine. Probably not, but I mean, you know what I mean. They would have survived the night, basically. John is too smart to waste time tracking down these new zombies. Yeah, probably. But once he gets all the zombies from the of the original figured out, he's got to have something else to do. I mean, I guess he'll move on to Dawn. There's still some unidentified. There's quite a few unidentified zombies in Dawn for sure. Um, Ed Trader says Eastman looks like Ozzy Osbourne when she eats the bug. Yeah, kind of like that. She kind of looks like, I guess it'd be like more modern era Ozzy. Older Ozzy. Which I saw a picture of Ozzy earlier shopping in a grocery store. It looked kind of funny. Um, yeah, the character conflict also feels natural, like a documentary, says Synth. Yeah, completely agree. I think that's the thing that also works about this movie too, is the way that it was shot and it's low budget. It feels it feels like a documentary. I mean, it's kind of like Texas Chainsaw in that way, where it feels like you're watching something, that really happened. Who was God, I heard something recently. I can't remember what the hell it was, but there was a studio or something that turned this movie down because they said there was no love story or anything to it. And I wonder if that's why they just put this little scene in. I always felt this scene was just out of place. I don't know. I guess just trying to build the characters a little more, flesh them out a little bit before, we make us care a little bit before they blow them the fuck up. Um, Good luck. Not very social says a sharp contrast to the remake of Night of the Living Dead, where any subtlety or nuance went right out the window. Cooper is plain evil and the zombies are ineffective. Yeah, I mean that's one of the aspects that I'm not a huge fan of the remake. That's one of the aspects of is that it's a little too black and white for me. Whereas like in the original, like Harry Cooper, you can make the argument that he's being unfair, he's being an asshole about everything, but really when you break it down and when it comes down to it, he's just worried about his family and all that. So um but yeah, in the remake he's just downright just a bad person, and it's a little too on the nose for my liking. Although I do love the remake. Like that was the first zombie movie I ever saw, and that's what that introduced me to everything. So I always have a love for the remake for sure. Since Israel, they need a special insert scene to explain why Tom blinks so much. Yeah, we just assume that he has a weird tick. Okay, kid can't help it. All right, everybody's got their flaws. Nobody's perfect, and we're still addicted to damn screens. Just portable now. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. You get where I'm at. You get where I'm coming from. Bonnie says I'm old enough to remember complaints about reading the paper at the table. Oh, you know what I used to get in trouble for all the time when I was younger is humming at the table. I was a hummer. That's what you call it, but I gotta be at the table eating and just be like, mm-hmm. And that would just send my grandmother, like my mama, would just be, she'd lose her fucking mind if you were humming at her table. I don't know. I just think the new score just adds a little bit to help. Maybe I guess they were just trying to modernize it a little bit, And yeah, like I said, it's not bad. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Since I also enjoy a Dr. Pepper once in a while, but it's carbonated prune juice with spices. It is what it is. I only drink diet Dr. Pepper. I really only the only soda that I'll drink anymore is diet Dr. Pepper. Um, Ski. I don't know down here in Evansville. In southern Indiana, we have Ski, which is like this citrus soda. I like that out of the bottle. Like they'll some places will sell it in a glass bottle. Um, yeah, that's about it. I can't handle like a non-diet soda anymore. It's too sweet for me. It's just like a weird taste. Anyway, there's our chat on soda for the night, folks. Uh, since I should do a supercut of Tom's Blinks with the Warner Brothers styles Solomon Blinks, do it. That would be funny. It's so sad that Keith committed suicide so many years later. Yeah, and that would have been what 30 years now since that. Because he was at that original Zombie Jamboree. I mean, he was on the commentaries that they did in like '94 for the Laserdisc release that Elite did. Um, yeah, it's terrible. Would have loved to have met Keith. By all accounts, a really, really, really nice, really cool guy. Ooh. So timestamp currently, we are at 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 17 seconds. So rolling right along here. See, I always thought, I don't know, when I first saw it, I thought that was this Carl Hardman playing the zombie that got shot through the chest there. Because from behind, it looks like he's wearing the exact same outfit that Harry Cooper's wearing. That's such a great shot. Such an underrated shot there. And they point this out in Document of the Dead, the way George's use of space but that shot there for that split second, I don't know, it just stood out to me. Um, when Ben's got the torch and you see the zombies in front of him and he moves the torch and kind of lights and the camera kind of moves along with the torch and you see the rest of the zombies completely surrounded. Like, that's just good shit right there. Like, that's good shit, pal. Where are we at here? Harry looks shifty even in this version, can't be trusted for most of it. In the remake, he credits Tom for the cellar idea. That's true too, yeah. I never thought about that. Now, of course, the obvious question, of course, the first question that would be raised today, I guess, is part of the conflict between Ben and Harry Cooper you know, racially motivated on the part of either side? I think possibly. I think there may be some of that. I mean, if you're reading into the characters, I don't know if they were written that way or anything. But when you look at the time period and all that, like maybe there was that played into the distrust of the two characters. Um, but yeah, that would be the whole point of the whole fucking movie now. Not very social. About everyone going into the basement and waiting it out. That might be a good idea if they knew for a fact that Posse would be there the next morning and no one was wounded in the house. That's true. Yeah, that's another thing that nobody fucking talks about either. That I've brought up in the past is that even if they did go down in the basement to wait it out, there's a ticking time bomb down there. Karen Cooper's bitten, and it's only a matter of time before she turns. And then when she turns, who knows what the hell's going to happen? Because somebody else is going to get bit. If Ben tries to shoot her, Harry's going to attack Ben, and then it's just going to be a huge thing of chaos that's in a confined area like a basement like that. Yeah, that probably wouldn't have been the best idea either. So good call, good call. Yep, Karen screws that up 100%, man, 100%. Man, people would. I don't know. I feel like people just freaked the fuck out when they first saw this back in the day in the late '60s, and you see people eating people like that, just graphically like that, you know. And I think about it all the time, like because all these the people playing the zombies and stuff are just locals from the Evans City, Pittsburgh area, you know, just local people. Like what was the direction? Like were they just like, "Oh, you're eating other humans?" Like I don't know. I feel like that would have been a hard sell for some of the folks that were, you know, featured in this movie as ghouls back in the day. But they would have just been like, "I'm doing what now?" Because it was just local, you know, the local folks from Evans City and you know, Wexler, we are the you know the fucking places around there. Since did you ever have the citrus soda called Rondo? Never heard of it. Disappeared over 15 years ago. It was pretty good. No, I don't think I've ever even heard of that. I don't know if that's a West Coast thing or not, but not very social. It's funny, even at this late point, Ben keeps shooting them in the heart. Yeah, it's true. But he's not a marksman, you know. He may be trying to shoot him in the head. He's just not, you know, he's just not a great shot. You know, I don't feel like the Ben's character, like if Ben would have been played as he was originally written, because Ben is supposed to be, you know, a truck driver, you know, a burly truck driver. Maybe he would have been a better marksman or a better shot, you know. But I feel like the Ben character in this movie is, I feel like, in my opinion, Ben's probably more of an academic. I feel like he's more of like a teacher or college professor or something like that that got stuck in the middle of all this, like on his way from one point to another. Um, so he's probably not the best shot. So you know, yeah, it's decent for what it is. Are you talking about? Oh, well, okay. Will's talking about the score. I think you're talking about the shot. Yeah, I'm behind. I think you're talking about Ben's shot. It's like, it's decent for what he is, you know. But yeah, talking about the score. I mean, yeah, it is fairly decent for what it is. I enjoy it in parts. Like, I like this little bit here. Dong, dong, dong. I think it's fine. I don't think it's overbearing or overpowering or it doesn't fit. It's decent for what it is. You're right. The new score here and there isn't terrible, but the library music works, and they spent a lot of time to curate and edit it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's still the preferred score, and that's the iconic classic soundtrack to this movie, and always will be. But if there's one positive that I can pull from this piece of shit, um, it's that I do like the music, and that's I'm trying to focus on the positives here, guys. Like I don't think this is as bad as people. I mean, it's bad. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's a complete pile of shit. I've seen much worse, but I think it's just the idea that somebody would have the fucking balls to go back and re-edit and add new footage to a classic film like Night of the Living Dead. It's like we were saying earlier. It's like if we shot extra footage and did a re-release of Citizen Kane, or you know, shot new footage and did a re-release of The Godfather. It's like, let's add some more scenes to this movie and re-release it and with a new score, and it's like they would nobody in their right mind would ever fucking think about doing that. But one man will. John Russo don't give a fuck. He'll do it. Yeah. I guess they all did it. But like I said, they're still trying to make a few bucks that they missed out on all those years. Ed Trader says, Romero said that Ben was written as a white guy. Yeah, and they didn't change the dialogue when they hired the black actor. Yeah, that was always the thing that George always kind of used to say. Like, I kind of wish maybe we had gone back and rewritten it a little bit, maybe addressed it a little bit more. But I think if they would have done that, I don't know if it. I honestly don't think it would have worked as well as it did. It wouldn't have been as strong as it would grow to become over the years. in terms of like meaning and what it meant with like civil rights and all that shit, or what people began to read into it that really wasn't intended to be there from George or Russo or anybody else involved. I don't think. Um, as George said, they just hired Ben because, or they hired Ben. They hired Dwayne Jones to play Ben because he was the best actor among their friends and best actor that they knew. So, and they didn't think about it, his color or anything like that. Um, which is very progressive and very forward thinking of the guy. And of course, they were, college kids, hippies, 60s, changing the world. But for middle America, for your average moviegoer, they I don't know, they probably saw it a little differently, especially when he slugs Barbara. And he was concerned about that. Remember hearing him talk about that, just being like, "Are you sure? Like, they're gonna they're gonna try to kill me. People that see this and they see me punching a white woman." It's crazy that the times were like that back in the day, but you got to think this wasn't that too far. I forget who it was, but there was that big uproar over what was it, the black dude and the white woman that kissed or something on TV. I don't remember. It was like right around the same time, and like people fucking lost their minds. It's just weird the way we evolve over time, I guess, and it's like a band-aid. It's like we don't know how we're gonna react to something until it happens, and then it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not that big of a deal after all. Who knew? Oh my God, he's here, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us tonight, Rick, the North Going Llama. What's up, man? I told you every time you come in here, I'm going to give you the biggest intro just because you have the fucking coolest name. Although we had, I don't know if he's still in here or not, but we got another guy in here with a pretty fucking killer name. Um, Fuck, I can't remember what it was now. Hang on. Holy Parish of Doom. Holy Parish of Doom, Batman. But no, there's only one Rick the North Going Llama, by God. What's up, man? Good to see you in here. Glad you're able to join us here at the end. Like I said, we're right. Timestamp is about an hour 17:24. All hell's breaking loose. The power is going out. Harry and Ben are fighting over this rifle. The ghouls are trying to get in. Helen's trying to keep them at bay. Ben said, "I've had a fucking enough of this shit." And bam! Just shot Harry Cooper in the belly. Shot him in the belly welly, baby. And the ghouls are starting to penetrate their way into the house. So that's where we're at. Um, since that, also, if they stay down there too long and they don't have survival supplies, can't live more than a few days without water, too weak to fight without food. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if they're down in the basement being fucking quiet, they can sneak up into the house. That's an aspect too nobody's ever talked about. Is that they can sneak up into the house area to get supplies and water and food if they need it. But like I said, it doesn't matter because Karen would have turned here within the next few hours and turned everything on its head. Yeah. Along the lines of Han shot last. Or it's always Han shot first. I thought that was always the debate. I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars guy, so I'll leave that to you guys to figure out. Yeah, the classic line in the interview with the sheriff. Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up. And that's the great George Casana, who I was lucky enough to meet before he passed away back in 2008 at the Texas Frightmare weekend. He was there. Bill Heinzman was there. I was glad I got the chance to meet both of those guys before they passed away. Unfortunately, both were super nice. George Casana is fucking hilarious. Um, I actually saw, I think it was on Etsy or something not long ago, that somebody was selling his welding mask or something. Um, but yeah, like this right here, this little piece of music here, when it cuts back to Helen or Karen coming at Helen Cooper, that dong dong dong. I always thought that worked. I thought it added a little extra to this scene, but see, it's just unnecessary here, though. I don't know. That's one of my all-time favorite scenes in any Romero film is Karen in the trowel and killing her mom. Like, I just think that's so disturbing the way that it's shot, the sound, the way that Romero was able to take that sound effect and just kind of echo it out, and it's so effective. Here's Johnny. Mm. And that's I love that too. It just leaves it to our imagination to wonder what happens to Barbara when she's dragged out into the horde of the ghouls. It just leaves it to your imagination. She's torn apart. I'm assuming so. And when all else fails, Ben ends up going down to the basement. Since this Russo clearly didn't care, as we commented, but they wanted to try to get the rights back, I suppose. Also, a quick cash grab. Yeah, I think that's really all this was. I don't think that's. Hope you're not too late to join the chat. Absolutely not, man. We're just hanging out here, just chatting, watching this controversial film, 30th anniversary edition of Night of the Living Dead. It was on Star Trek. Kirk and Uhura. What are your name? Is that where it's from? Han Shala. I don't know. I'm behind. Talking about Star Trek now, and I'm out. Oh yeah, okay. I get what you're saying. Okay, I forget the fuck I'm talking about. I'm so behind in the comments. I apologize, guys. But yeah, the kiss. Yeah, I remember that. That was a big thing. But I remember it was something else on um like an award show or something where they were like singing together. I can't remember who the hell it was, but it wasn't like I want to no. No, I can't remember who the hell it was, but it was on like a award show. It was on like a live TV show on network TV. Um, I don't know if they kissed or just held hands. I don't remember what the hell happened, but it was a big deal for some reason. Never. So I guess who's going to come to Helen's rescue? Nobody. Oh, Barbara. Barbara tried. Barbara tried. I always found that to be an interesting touch. When Ben gets down in the basement and realizes all that he sees all this wood down there that he could have used to help board up the house. That's something interesting about that, just from a philosophical standpoint, I guess, just human nature, is even when everything falls apart and your plan has gone to shit and everything's gone awry and it's almost like you're still looking at things like, oh, I could have done this instead of just dealing with the situation that you're in. You're still clinging to the, oh, well, could have used this board up these, even though boarding shit up didn't work. Like, I don't know. Oh, Lord. Here we go. The First Church of the Divine Power. This dude is a satanic preacher for sure. Oh, Damien Eccles. The camera guy there. Who is that? Anybody know? I don't know. It just seems unnecessary. Like, I don't know why they have to add all this shit in here, but it's not very good. I'll just say that. But I do get a kick out of old Damien Eccles here. Rick says, yeah, and all the basement scenes were in the basement office of. The basement scenes were shot at 247 Fort Pitt Boulevard in Pittsburgh at the Leighton Image offices. So the rooftop where they shot Dawn of the Dead, um, the tenant when they're going into the at the beginning of Dawn of the Dead. And they're shooting on the rooftop. That's the same spot. So out of nowhere, here comes the father again in the exact same clothing, and he finally gets to see the death of his daughter's murderer, I guess. Not very good. Not very good. What can I say? Best kill, I guess you're referring to the Karen Cooper in the trowel. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the special glove reveal, so you know who it was. Yeah, Striner's talked about that numerous times. Talking about the gloves. He made sure that put the gloves on so that people recognized that it was him immediately when they saw the glove come in, and grab Barbara like that, which is actually a great shot. The glove coming in from the foreground. Rick says, exactly when I first watched Night of the Living Dead on TV, I thought that staircase scene was very scary, but as I grew older, I saw it was disturbing. Um, there's Bill Cardill, old Chilly Billy. Speaking of, at shop.alpharomero.store, there is a Chiller Theater Night of the Living Dead. I guess it would be I don't know, a Chiller Theater inspired Night of the Living Dead t-shirt or a Night of the Living Dead inspired Chiller Theater t-shirt, however you want to look at it. It's available now. It's quite a popular seller, actually. It's probably my most popular one I got on there. Pretty cool. Trader says Friday the 13th final chapter did a kill like that in the basement with the Rick character. Yeah, it's true. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, the Star Trek, between what was her name? Yeah, it was Captain Kirk and Uhura. What was the woman's name that played her? I can't remember. Um, but yeah, there was something else. I want to say yes, and I want to say was it Sidney Poitier that did that? I can't remember who it was. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, the wood stored by Uncle Reed. Yeah, it was some kind of stupid. And Johnny said they're coming to get you, Barbara, and there's one of them now. When they do get her, Johnny's one of them and gets her himself. Says they're not very social. Yeah, kind of comes full circle there, doesn't it? Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, Bonnie, that lady, you said that lady looks like Lady Aberlin. I guess from Mr. Rogers, right? However you spell it. Funny enough, here's the great ending. What should be the ending. They're gonna add more shit on top of this, but one of the best endings in film history, in my opinion. But yeah, funny enough, before they cast Judith O'Dea to play the role of Barbara, George was actually wanting to use the woman who plays Lady Aberlin from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That was who he wanted originally, and Mr. Rogers wouldn't let her do it because he didn't want her showing up in a horror movie, and coming back and being a Mr. Rogers. So he nixed that and didn't happen. But pretty funny little bit of trivia there. Would have been interesting. Rick says I watched the 30th anniversary cast reunion of Day of the Dead and found out Chili Billy from the Night of the Living Dead was Laurie Cardell's father. Yeah, yeah. Laurie always tells stories about growing up, and of course her dad was the host of Chiller Theater. He was also the host of the local Pittsburgh wrestling studio wrestling show there in Pittsburgh on Channel 11. He was the voice of the local wrestling there, which wrestling back in the day was territorial. It was in different territories, so Pittsburgh had pretty much its own wrestling show, and Bill Cardell was the voice of it. But yeah, Laura would always tell stories about staying up watching her dad on Chiller Theater at nights, and she would, because it was live, so when she would know before he would come home, like, okay, now I got to go to bed, or the boyfriend's got to go home or whatnot. So that's Debbie Rochon. It's been in quite a few, including Santa Claus. She's a lead in Santa Claus. You could see quite a bit of her in Santa Claus, actually. Yeah, cable access stuff is acting much better. Yeah, at times. Yeah, that's that. Everybody in this movie just seems like they don't give a shit. Although I will say, like, Damien Eccles here, he's trying. I feel like he's trying to steal the fucking show, and that's the funny aspect of it. I feel like he thinks he's doing a great job. It's weird. I don't know. It's kind of mesmerizing. The eerie music they had here before was better. I remember the part on that. Yeah, that's her name, Nichelle Nichols. Yeah, the ending is hard. But yeah, I was talking about seeing that Riff Tracks live show, Night of the Living Dead, and even with that, at the end of the movie, when Ben gets shot, the crowd still reacts. Like, I was sitting next to these two women who obviously probably never seen the movie before, but they were there. It was around Halloween. They were probably just going to listen to this, to watch this old horror movie, this old black and white horror movie, and listen to these people riff on it, and have a good time and laugh and whatnot. But when they shoot Ben at the end of the movie, even with all the comedy and stuff going on, they've still followed the movie all the way through. And when they shoot Ben, the woman next to me goes, "Oh no!" It's just like, okay, it still works. Even with all the shit going on around it, like, it still fucking works. But yeah, it's great ending. It should have been the ending. I don't know, but they continue on with this as we go here. Unnecessary. I don't know what this is. Yeah, very bad, Sam. Very bad. This is probably the worst aspect of, like, the added footage. Is just completely fucking up this iconic ending of this movie with just this long dialogue. I don't know what the fuck that was. Diatribe, or what do you want to call it? Well, that's over. I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't think it's as bad. I honestly don't think it's as bad as, like, Children of the Living Dead or Festival of the Living Dead. I mean, yeah, those are at least original films and shit like that, but I don't know. This is, it's just, so that's the end of the movie. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off now. It's one of those weird movies. I don't really know how to, because it's still Night of the Living Dead, but it's just with a little bit of a different score, some different audio bits and pieces here and there. Um, if you just take out, hang on, Okay, there we go. But yeah, if you just take out like all the extra scenes and shit that are unnecessary and don't need to be there, um, if they had just done like a cleaned up version of Night of the Living Dead and maybe added some different, if they wanted to add new score, maybe up some better sound effects and stuff, and clean it up a little bit that way. Still not the greatest. It was still have pissed a lot of people off. Um, but I don't. I think the worst aspect is just like all the added unnecessary stuff. You know, just the extra scenes and the extra storyline that's going on. I don't know. Did we really need? Did we really need the origin story for the truck? No. And that's all that was. That's all that was, in my opinion. Bonnie, that's interesting about Avalon. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, heard that story told a couple of times from George. Where he originally wanted I can't remember what her name is off the top of my head, the actress that plays Lady Aberlin, but yeah, she was originally supposed to be Barbara in Night of the Living Dead, because of course George was, got to start working on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood like most people, most of the filmmakers in Pittsburgh did back in the day. Um, all right, so I'm gonna go through these comments here real quick, guys, and I'm gonna have to call it night. It's almost 3 hours, and I'm wore out after watching that fucking movie. To be honest with you, not very social says even without a wounded victim in the basement, this show's coming up the next day would likely be death for whoever came up first. Those who came up afterwards would likely be safe from screaming. Yeah, but that's true. You never know though. I mean, if it's one person coming up quietly, accidents can happen. But if it's a whole group of people, I mean, you never know. One person, you're right. One person probably would get shot, and the rest would say, "Hey, don't shoot us." What the fuck? That's the fun of the movie. There's so many different scenarios and different ideas that you can throw in your own theories, and it's just a fucking classic film. Rick says, way cool. I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area with the Creature Features horror TV show with local host Mr. Bob Wilkins on local channel 2 KTVU in the 1970s. Yeah, that was the thing too. Like every region kind of had their own local like horror host on their local channels back in the day. Um, I don't really remember us having one, but I grew up. I mean, Nashville was kind of our closest city that really had any kind of channel or anything for that. I don't really remember anything like that in our area, but you always hear about like Zachary, and now they got MeTV and Svengoolie. They Svengoolie's still doing stuff on there. So the whole horror host thing is still going, still out there, but not too often. Yeah, the preacher stuff's so unnecessary. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't understand the point of that. Like, I can get like even the opening scene, where at least they're kind of explaining, like they're saying, okay, well, here's where the cemetery ghoul came from, and here's how the truck got to Beekman's, or like just random shit like that nobody really gave a shit about or asked questions about. But if you're gonna add stuff to this movie, why not add a few answers to questions that people may have had at some point or another? But like the stuff with the yeah, it was just like they just why not? Let's throw this in here. Let's instead of one of the greatest endings in horror history, let's add this to it. It's like, no, why? Well, we got Debbie Rashawn for a day. We got to do something with her. I don't know. Jerry says Toots Mont was the wrestling promoter that Bill did TV for. That's right. Toots later joined forces with Vince McMahon Sr. That's right. Because Vince Sr., I mean, well, the thing, they were all part of the. I mean, I don't want to get into territory wrestling. I'm saving all my territory wrestling talk for when I do my Romero wrestling stream, because there's a lot of ties between Romero and pro wrestling, a lot, and I want to dig into that one day. But yeah, old Toots Mont. Sin says they were too cheap to get good gun sound effects at the end. Yeah, that's true. The cemetery inserts right out of the game Doom, no joke. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it did sound a lot like the fucking the handguns from Doom for sure. Stuka says Sidney Poitier was in an early South Park episode as himself. Was he really? Was it one of those situations where they were like George Clooney as a baked potato or whatever the hell it was? What was he? It was George Clooney did the voice of like an inanimate object or something like that. I can't remember what the hell it was. That'd be that'd be fucking hilarious. Sidney Poitier as a baked potato. Yeah, the camera angles in the end inserts atrocious. Yeah. Sensing Festival is the worst by far. Yeah, I would much rather any day of the week. At least I'm still watching some version of Night of the Living Dead. I would much rather watch the 30th anniversary edition of Night of the Living Dead any day of the week over rewatching that Festival of the Living Dead shit. Easily, easily. Ed Trader, the extra footage at the end was ripped from Russo's script for Return. Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's interesting. I'm glad that kind of makes me glad that we got the version of Return of the Living Dead that we got. I'm just saying that. Yeah, Damien, Jesse. Who's the other guy? It was Jesse Miskelly, Damien Eccles, and fuck, who's the other guy from the West Memphis Three? Jason. It's Jason something. Jason. Yeah, Damien Eccles. The fucking preacher in this movie reminds me of Damien Eccles. Like if you see Damien Eccles now in any interviews or whatnot, especially back in like earlier back then when he still had that real strong Arkansas accent. Damien? Yeah, so I just call I'm just gonna call the old preacher old Damien Eccles. Why not? Yeah, that's right. Betty Aberlin. There you go. Betty Aberlin. Yeah, because I just called her Miss Lady Aberlin and in uh, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Rick says, I'm a big Return of the Living Dead and Return of the Living Dead 2 fan, but the producers reworked the home video release of Return of the Living Dead 2, changed the music and narrative in the beginning, spoiled it. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I, I did not know that. I'm a big fan of those movies too. Return of the Living Dead 2, the first time I saw it, I did not like it. I was like, this is just a complete like rip off of the first one. I mean, it's basically the same thing, but watching it again here recently, I watched it not too long ago. I found it on Blu-ray and picked it up and watched it again. It's actually really funny, entertaining, silly little 80s zombie movie. So Bonnie says creature features in Chicago is what we had. Yeah, it was Chicago. Was that was Svengoolie? Was that an original Chicago? I can't remember. Not very social. Watches Svengoolie. There you go. I still live in the Bay Area. Bob Wilkins was great. Creature features and also Captain Cosmic, a local guy, still does CF on Saturday night. Yeah, I mean they still do. Like I said on MeTV, still got Svengoolie and on YouTube, especially like there are some YouTube channels that are just basically your creature feature horror hosts type of channels. And they'll actually play, have movies play. They'll, introduce the movie and they'll watch it and come back halfway through and talk about it a little bit. And then at the end, come back to, wrap it all up. Which I don't know how they get around the copyright issues with doing that, but I don't know. Smarter than I am. Since I was only a kid watching Mr. Rogers, I'm pretty sure I was attracted to Lady Aberlin even then. Probably. But could you imagine her as Barbara in that role? I think it's pretty interesting stuff. Just me personally. Let's see. I hear you saying great TV creature features now on YouTube. Vincent Tangella and this. Yeah, there you go. So you still see a lot of that shit on YouTube. Svengoolie's great. Okay, Svengoolie's still on in Chicago. Okay, that's what I thought that he originated from was Chicago. Yeah, I guess Elvira, Rick saying, of course, Elvira went national with her run in Southern California back in the day. Yeah, I guess Elvira would probably be, I guess, the most popular horror host of all time. I guess that's the main one. Of course, I guess Elvira was Vampiro was the original out in Hollywood back in the day. I think Vampire even ended up suing Elvira at one point for gimmick infringement, but I don't think she won it. Um, what would you categorize Joe Bob as? Joe Bob Briggs. Would he technically be a version of a horror host, I guess? I don't know. It's kind of the same thing. Um, but I like Joe Bob. Elvira, I just never a big fan of, just because of my experience seeing her and dealing with her at Texas Frightmare Weekend in '08. She's a little bit of a diva. But I don't know. She may be the nicest person in the world, but she was a little bit of a diva that weekend. We'll just say that. Mayor, what's going on, man? See, you were watching the greatest cut of. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It really took it out of me. But yeah, you missed the fun. We were watching the 30th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead, the 30th anniversary edition. And like I said, I could pick out a few positives, some stuff that I liked. And like I said, when I first saw the movie, I did enjoy it because I was young and didn't really know any better. But watching it now, it's just like unnecessary. Not good. Not good. Zachary in New York, yeah, that was one that I remember hearing about back in the day. Rick said, well, she did go more commercial and Hollywood than the other Cassandra Peterson is her real name. Yeah. Which I think she does. I think she does conventions as Cassandra Peterson a lot now too. But yeah, guys, I appreciate it. This has been fun. I am wore out. My voice is, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm starting to lose my voice. But it's been fun. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me tonight. And if you watched along, I hope it wasn't too painful for you. I hope I made it somewhat entertaining. But like I said, it's always good to go back, and even the stuff that's not the greatest, not the best quality stuff, it's like going back and rewatching Midnight, or going back and rewatching The Booby Hatch, or some of these movies that I'll do a watch along on. These are, even though they're not great, not the best, it's still part of the Romero universe and the Romero canon, I think. Because it's one big tree, and it's a lot of limbs and stuff going all over the place. So, but yeah, it was fun revisiting this and kind of giving it a. Like I said, I haven't watched that all the way. That was the first time watching that all the way through in probably at least 15 years. So it was interesting, if nothing else. So hope you guys enjoyed it. But appreciate it. Make sure you give this video the big old thumbs up and the big like. Hit that subscribe button if you're a new subscriber. About to hit that 1,600 mark. May have. I don't know. I'll have to check. But creeping up to 2,000, that's pretty fucking crazy for a guy sitting in front of his computer just yapping about Romero for the past year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's been. But it's super cool. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate all the support. And guys, I'd like to do more with the channel. It's here soon. Like I said, it's just been so busy, so crazy lately. Hopefully everything starts slowing down. Halloween's right around the corner, so there should be some fun stuff we can do for Halloween. But yeah, hit that like button, subscribe, notifications bell, all that fun stuff. Check out shop.alpharomero.store for some new designs. Like I said, I got a new There's Always Vanilla t-shirt design up for all of you vanilla fans out there. Yeah, just give it a check it out. I don't make a whole lot of money or anything off of it, but I just think it's cool I just like designing shirts that I would like to wear, basically, is my whole idea. So, but yeah, I don't know. I got some stuff coming up soon. Got some stuff in the pipeline. So, be back next weekend. We'll see what we do then. But go ahead and get roll through the comments. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Mayor, thanks for stopping by at the very end here, man. Synth as always, Bonnie, Ed Trader, of course, new names in here. Not very social. Well, you're very social tonight, and I appreciate it. It was fun meeting you and chatting with you for the first time. Stukas, as always, my man, good to see you. Matt, of course, Will, all the usual suspects hanging out. Always a pleasure chatting with you fellas. Rick, the North Going Llama, of course. Trying to go through, give everybody a shout out here, because what the hell? What was Homeboy's old name? I gotta get used to it. Holy Parish of the Doom. Holy Parish of Doom. Hell fucking yeah. Good to see you in here, man. Sean, of course. Sean Sikowski. Dirk. Had a lot of people stop in for this, and I was surprised. I was kind of curious to see how many people were going to stop in for, or just fucking out of protest, just you know, what's the word I'm looking for? It's so late, and so I'm tired. I can't think of fucking words now. To protest this stream, just everybody, just I'm not showing up. Fuck it, I'm not watching that 30th anniversary shit. Which I wouldn't have blamed you, but whatever. But yeah, appreciate it, guys. It's been fun. Like I said, I'll be back next weekend. But until then, as always, have a great rest of the night, a great rest of the week, and of course, stay scared.